All sports, all the time.
There's heroes and there's legends. Heroes get remembered. Legends never die.
This is the Spoken Podcast.
Hold your ears, folks. It's showtime.
I'm your host, Lance Twidwell.
Man, that kid, he can ball, man. He can ball.
Touchdown, Kansas City!
Patrick freaking Mahomes, baby!
Let's talk some sports, because that's what we're here to do.
You are tuned in to the Spoken.
This is the Spoken Podcast. I'm your host, Lance Twidwell, here inside the Spoken Studios with my guy, Trevor Twidwell.
What's good?
Episode 329 is in full swing, full motion. We're so happy to be here with you and for you to be here with us. Whether you're live streaming, podcasting, or YouTubing, we want to thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. And this time, as we have one of our most jam-packed shows in a long time. You guys know we're getting in the heart of the NFL season, so naturally we're going to have a lot to get to and a lot to talk about. So we hope you guys are ready for an awesome show, man, because I think this is going to be one of our better shows in a while. And I think, personally, that's saying something, because I think we do a pretty damn good job around here. But we have an awesome guest that we have not had on the show in a long time. I'm very excited to have him back, and I hope that you guys are too. We have Fox 4's sports analyst, sports reporter, 𝚂𝙿𝙸𝚂𝙾𝙳 joining us in about 30 minutes, a little less than 30 minutes. Been trying to get Harold back for a while now. He's a busy guy. Hasn't turned us down by any means, but he, I try not to, hit him up way too often. And I decided, man, it's time to get him back. Got a big game coming up this week. We need to get some of his thoughts, his viewpoints, his insights on what's going on with the Chiefs moving forward in the time that we're in right now, but also moving forward. I really want to pick Harold's brain on a lot of things regarding the Chiefs. So I hope you guys are ready to tune into that. I'd tell you guys at the top of every single show, I'd tell you at the bottom of every single show. If you've not already done it, go to our YouTube channel, go to the Spoken Podcast, hit subscribe, like, share, notify, all the fun buttons they got for you to push. But the one that we need you to push the most is the comment button. We need you to be a part of the show. We want you to be a part of the show because that's what makes the show great. We like to consider ourselves a community-driven show. Trevor and I don't want to talk at you. We want to talk with you. And so we hope that you guys are wanting to do that. If you just want to chill and hang back and watch and listen, that's totally cool as well. No pressure, obviously. But we know that all you guys have opinions. We know that you guys are sports fans, sports junkies like we are, and you wouldn't tune into shows like this unless you had your own thoughts and viewpoints as well to compare and contrast on what everyone else is saying. So we hope that you guys will want to share that with us because we very much value your guys' insight and viewpoints on this. Trevor, how the hell are you doing this week, man?
Doing good, man. It's been a busy week. Been a long week. Ready to talk some ball. But, yeah, man, it's been Scarlet's volleyball games, homecoming yesterday. Just a lot of stuff going on, bro. But I'm ready to – got a big weekend ahead of us football-wise. And, yeah, man, ready to talk some ball, baby.
Hell yeah, man. And I do want to put this out here before we get to what we always get to. But I want to make an announcement. I don't know if you guys have been following or not, but since the beginning of this season, our guy Shaggy Shane and myself have been hosting a weekly show on Tuesday nights at 6 p.m. called the 65 Toss Power Talk Show. This last week, we had former Chiefs and former Raiders running back Harvey Williams, one of our dear friends, was on the show this last week. We had one of the best football conversations of my life. It was great to talk it up. This is actually the first time Harvey and I have actually got to have some back and forth. So I've talked to Harvey. I've known Harvey for a while now, but him and Shaggy have always been really good friends. And I really hope that at some point this weekend or this week, you guys get a chance to check out that episode because it was a lot of fun. And we have another great episode this week because if we could put that on the screen, Trevor, we have this guy joining the show this week. That is correct. It is the one, the only Mr. Pat Sr. Pat Mahomes Sr. is going to be joining the show this week. I hope you guys are ready for that. I know I am. Every opportunity I get to talk football with the legendary Pat Mahomes Sr. is an opportunity that I will not take for granted, and I hope that you guys will join us this Tuesday at 6 p.m. We're going to get a lot of football talk with Pat, obviously, because we know that he has a vested interest. His son's kind of the best quarterback in the world, and he's also a former baseball player, and you guys know that I'm a former baseball player myself, not obviously at the level of that man, but I always try to get some viewpoints, some thoughts, some opinions on the world of baseball as well from our guy Pat Sr. Maybe I'll sneak a few of those in that conversation, but I'm really stoked about that, and I hope that you guys will want to join us on Tuesday as well. But Trevor, we've talked enough about the things that don't have a lot to do with today's show. I think it's time to tap into today's show. It is time for Lance Rants.
Gotta scream! Yeah! We're back to motion! From out to the new beat! Woo!
like to consider myself an opinionist, someone that has at least a general viewpoint on a lot of things in life. And if I'm not up to date or up to speed or educated enough on things, I tend to just kind of listen and try to understand something before I give my take on something, because otherwise you just come off as foolish and ignorant, and that's not something I ever want to be in life. When it comes to sports, that's something I take very seriously as well. And there's often times where I'll sit and I'll just kind of sit back and watch something play out, kind of like Baker Mayfield's career. When he came out, I knew the hype was, a big thing. He was the number 1 pick. He was going to Cleveland. Everybody thought this is going to be the guy that changes the trajectory of that franchise. It didn't go well. Things start to go bad for him in his career. He's kind of bouncing around. He's even playing defensive end at practice for the Carolina Panthers. And then we see the glow up. He's with the Tampa Bay Bucks, and now he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Statistically, clutch-wise, and anything you name. I mean, playoff-wise, this guy's always been good. And Baker was one of those players that I kind of sat back and just kind of watched and just reserved my opinion for a little bit. I didn't want to jump at what I thought initially. I wanted to just kind of wait and see because I wasn't sure. And I think that, and I don't want to tell, because this is one of my own personal rules. I don't put this on Trevor, and I don't put this on anybody else. One of my personal rules is I don't like to tell fans how to feel. I don't want to tell fans what to think. That is for you and only for you to decide. But I almost want to kind of break that rule today, because I think there's something that's going on amongst Chiefs fans that I think is entirely miscalculated or misguided. And that is the way a lot of Chiefs fans feel and think about Matt Nagy. Matt Nagy, to me, is one of the more underappreciated portions of this Chiefs dynasty. And I know I say that, and then 5 minutes later I'm going to say that this is Andy Reid's offense, and so Andy Reid deserves the blame and the praise for said offense. But I think that when it comes to the Chiefs offensive coordinators, we don't really know how to feel or how to treat them because of that fact, because we know that Andy Reid is the one that kind of illustrates what this offense is, and we know that Patrick Mahomes is so great, so a lot of the plays that are broken plays, things like that, obviously aren't drawn up. So it's Patrick Mahomes that's out there doing the Mahomes magic. So where does the OC fit? And I remember when Eric Bieniemy was the OC for this team from 2018 to 2021, I remember there was so much praise given, but also so much taken away. And I felt like there was this constant back and forth of Eric Bieniemy. Whenever things were bad, people would always come for his throat. Whenever things were good, it'd always go to Andy and Mahomes first. But then there'd be people that'd be like, Eric Bieniemy's doing a damn good job. He's keeping these guys in line. He's got that rah-rah vibe to him. He keeps Kelsey in check. You see him checking Mahomes on the sidelines. Like, people like those things. Myself personally, I like that as well. But I think that people were so quick to turn on Eric Bieniemy because things got bad and they had that horrific meltdown in the 2021 AFC Championship against the Bengals that it almost felt like he was just the scapegoat. And in a lot of ways, he was. And now I feel like Matt Nagy has taken on that role, and it's been so easy. In fact, dare I say, it's been even easier for people to do that with Matt Nagy over these last 2 seasons, ignoring the obvious and the context that comes with that. See, Matt Nagy has taken on something that Eric Bieniemy never had to, and that is an offense that didn't have 2 prolific stars for Patrick Mahomes to throw the ball to. Not only that, but Matt Nagy has also had to take on an offense that up to this season has not had a reliable left tackle. Dare I say, maybe the worst starting left tackles in all of football over the last 2 seasons, because they didn't have one. Those are pretty significant disadvantages for an offensive coordinator to take on. Wouldn't you agree, Trev? I think that's fair to say.
I would agree, yeah.
So the question, again, has to be asked. And when we talk about Matt Nagy, everyone's looking for what is his purpose, or what is it that he brings to the table? What is his job? And then we heard ESPN's Nate Taylor go on 96.5 The Fan this last week, and this is his viewpoint or opinion on what Matt Nagy is supposed to do as the Chiefs offensive coordinator.
The development of younger players is where you should question Matt Nagy. It is not Andy Reid's job, or it shouldn't be Andy Reid's job if we consider him
to make Sky more better.
Yeah.
To make Pacheco have better vision on the ground.
Correct. Andy Reid is above most of this. Now, he will take time to individually coach guys. It's the same thing with Steve Spagnuolo on the defense. But his philosophy has always been, I am a teacher. I teach the players and I coach the coaches so that the coaches can better teach the players. Well, the Chiefs have the worst running back duo through 2 weeks. Is that a player issue or is that a Matt Nagy / Todd Pinkston issue?
So according to ESPN's Nate Taylor, it is Matt Nagy's job to develop the young offensive players, and in particular skill position guys. That you hear the Sky Moore reference in that as well. I'm going to be completely candid with you guys. I completely disagree with Nate Taylor on this. And I'm going to give you guys the reason why. See, I'm someone who loves to understand the definition or the meaning of a word or a term, a phrase, because I like to know when I'm saying something, I know what I'm actually saying because words carry weight. And I want to make sure that I understand what a term is or a title or a phrase or anything in particular, what the definition is. So even this morning, what I did is we can put that up here, Trevor. What is an NFL offensive coordinator or an OC? An NFL, and this is according to the AI's definitions on Google, an offensive coordinator is responsible for designing and implementing the team's entire offensive strategy, for creating or crafting game plans and playbooks, to overseeing offensive position coaches and often calling plays during the game. They analyze opposing defenses to exploit weaknesses, develop a unified offensive system, and manage the offensive players and coaches to maximize the scoring potential. That doesn't really sound like what Nate Taylor was describing Matt Nagy to be or what his job is. That's just my opinion. And the biggest reason why is because I also went and looked at what an offensive position coach is. And I don't know if you have that definition there or not, Trevor. It might be the same one.
No, I got you.
You got it? Okay, good. So an NFL position coach specializes in developing players at a specific position group, such as offensive linemen or wide receivers. Their job involves teaching and refining fundamental skills, implementing the team's offensive or defensive schemes relevant to their position, analyzing game film to scout opponents, and working with players on their footwork, body control, and mental approach to the game. Position coaches are crucial assistants to the coordinators and the head coach, providing detailed position-specific training and technique maintenance for the players. Does that sound like that's Matt Nagy's job, or maybe that's a position coach's job? Because I was always the belief, I played football growing up. I was always of the belief that your position coach is the one that develops and hones in your skills, and then coordinators and top coaches are the ones that take said skills that have been honed and focused on and utilize them in the X and O schemes. Am I wrong? Like, that's what I always thought. And yes, again, like I said 5 minutes ago, I was going to say 5 minutes later, it is Andy Reid's offense, which is why I always place the blame and praise primarily on him and or Patrick Mahomes before any offensive coordinator the Chiefs have. But that doesn't mean that now negates what Nagy brings to the said coordinated offense, to the said game plan. And what I'm not going to do is pick and choose what I am going to give Nagy as far as praise and criticism. I'm not going to count the hits, the misses and not the hits. Because if we're going to do that, Trevor, let's go ahead and say that it is Matt Nagy's job to develop these players. Everyone automatically is going to go to what? The negatives, right? Sky Moore didn't work out. You know, he was a bust. Orlando Brown Jr. didn't develop into the premier left tackle in this offense. Wanye Morris didn't, third-round pick. Hey, Trevor, real quick. Who are the two guys in this offense this year that everyone's waiting on to come back because they feel like once they get back, things are just going to pop for this offense?
Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice.
Yeah. Who has been their offensive coordinators their entire career?
That'd be Matt Nagy.
Right. So why are those guys so good that we're that excited about them unless Matt Nagy had something to do with that?
Especially two guys that are put in positions as rookies to have to show up immediately.
Who was the earliest running back that Matt Nagy has gotten in the NFL draft since he took over in 2022? That'd be Isaiah Pacheco. What round was he taken in, Trevor?
7th round.
And what has Isaiah Pacheco been in his entire career with a dynastic Chiefs team? What has he been for this team?
Been a solid running back.
The starting running back for this team, correct?
Super Bowl champ.
So he got drafted in 2022 2022, as a 7th round flyer pick, became the starting running back day one, played a significant role for a team that won back-to-back Super Bowls and got to a 3rd straight Super Bowl. Does Nagy get any credit for that? Or are we just going to sit here and hold Sky Moore against him? What about Josh Simmons? The one time the Chiefs actually take the left tackle position seriously, has he not developed and blossomed into a starting left tackle for this team? Does Matt Nagy get credit for that? Kingsley 𝚂𝙾𝙳𝙶 has to transition from left tackle to left guard. I don't know if you guys have heard it lately, but there's been absolute crickets from his anti-𝚂𝙾𝙳𝙶 crew. I can't even find them. I think they deleted all their social media platforms. We haven't heard shit from them. Does Nagy get credit for that? Or is that Andy Reid? Is that Patrick Mahomes elevating the team? See, we pick and choose.
I guess the question is where and how do we decipher on where Nagy gets credit?
That's why I went to the definition.
Yeah.
That's why I went to the definition. Because if we're going to do this, if we're going to say it's the development of the players, then Matt Nagy isn't a true OC by definition. He's just a positions coach. But we all know better than that, because he's not a positions coach. I hate to break this down in such simplistic terms, guys, but I think the clarity needs to be brought into the equation, because I think there is a certain level of scapegoatism that's being attached to Matt Nagy here, but we forget that in his first season as the Chiefs OC, what happened that offseason, Trevor? Tyreek Hill got traded, right? And every single one of the national media members said what? The Chiefs are done. I know that's a reoccurring theme now, but that was the first time it really happened.
They're going to get exposed.
They're going to get exposed. They're not winning their division. Yeah, the offense, they're just not going to have any more explosion. They're not going to be the same offense. Patrick Mahomes now he's going to be lost. And the Chiefs led the league in scoring. And the Chiefs led the league in explosive plays. And the Chiefs won the Super Bowl. And Patrick Mahomes won regular season MVP. And Patrick Mahomes won Super Bowl MVP. Does Matt Nagy deserve any credit for that?
And we've gone to 3 straight Super Bowls with Matt Nagy.
The Chiefs have never not gone to the Super Bowl. And if anything, if we're gonna talk about these last 2 seasons, how about we credit Matt Nagy for being able to make the most of this offense, given the limitations they've had. He had an offense in 2023 that led the league in drops. Is it his fault that Kadarius Toney sucks? Is it his fault that Sky Moore sucks? Because if you're going to say yes, then I'm going to say it's because of him that Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy are good players. Or is it the fact that they finally invested into real players at those positions that were actual legitimate players? Because we know as well anyway, Trevor, there are going to be guys that are just straight up or just busts. And Sky Moore is just a straight up bust. If that wasn't the case, we would see him in San Francisco right now with a very limited wide receiver room flourishing in the Kyle Shanahan offense. Is that happening? No. Will it happen? I'm going to say no. Where the fuck is Kadarius Toney right now? If he was good and it was Matt Nagy and this offense that was holding him back, why is he in the league at all, let alone playing good?
We got TJ in the chat says, so if the offense is getting worse every year by the numbers, who gets the blame, Andy or Nagy?
See, this is the point that people are missing.
That's the wrong
The
question.
reason why, see, yeah, exactly. That to me, and I appreciate the question, TJ.
Yeah.
But that is a deference of what is actually happening. We're not looking at the context. That is the entire point I'm trying to make here. Is that we're looking at an offense that has had their 2 best receiving options out this entire season. You're looking at a team in 2024 that did not have a legitimate left tackle, lost Rashee Rice within the first 3 weeks of the game, lost Isaiah Pacheco, their starting running back, for 10 weeks, did not have Hollywood Brown for 15 weeks.
Yeah, name a team that wouldn't struggle mightily with losing their both back-to-back years, losing basically their best offensive player when available.
Let Joe Burrow play without T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, see how that goes. Let Josh Allen play without Khalil Shakir and Keon Coleman, see how that goes. Let Lamar Jackson play without the guys he has in that offense, the plethora of weapons he has in that offense, and tell me how that goes. Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews, or Derrick Henry, any of those guys.
Yeah.
Let me know how it goes. None of them would be doing what they do. That's why I'm trying to break this down in the simplest way I can, guys, because I think that there needs to be a moment of truth for Chiefs fans when it comes to Matt Nagy and how I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve any criticism.
Of course.
That's not what I'm saying. He's not a perfect guy. But I've seen this man as a head coach take a team to the playoffs twice with Mitchell Trubisky as his quarterback. Mitchell Trubisky, who is a backup quarterback in this league, 2 different times he led that, and Nick Foles filled in too, by the way, filled in, and they went to the playoffs twice. And if it wasn't for a doink field goal, man's playing in the NFC Championship. So let's give this man a little bit of credit here, guys. Am I saying he's better than Eric Bieniemy? Am I saying he's the greatest OC this team could have? I'm not saying it. But I think we need to be a little bit more fair here and not just count the misses, but look at the hits as well. And if we're going to blame him for the things that have gone wrong in this offense, let's give him credit for the things that have also equally happened that worked out well. And, I think one of the biggest problems we're having, Trevor, is the running back situation. And it all starts with Isaiah Pacheco. I mean, let's put that picture up from the Giants game this last week. And we're glad to see the Chiefs took care of business in New York, but we don't really need to sit there and talk about that game too much. But look at this picture right here of the Isaiah Pacheco, of the play, the still frame of him literally running backwards on a pass play. This should get Isaiah Pacheco cut on the scene. This is a play that a 7th-round pick in any other offense would probably lose their job immediately. This is a prime example of what's going on with Isaiah Pacheco. And look, the whole revenge tour through 3 games that we're talking about with Isaiah Pacheco when he came into this season, talking about what he was going to do for this team. Let's go and throw those stats up there real quick, Trevor, the revenge tour. So far this season, Isaiah Pacheco has 25 rushes for 92 yards, 4 receptions, 13 receiving yards, 3.7 yards per rush, 3.3 yards per reception with 0 touchdowns. Which is what led me to put up this poll just yesterday, and I asked the question, who leads the Chiefs in rushing for the remainder of the season? And if you look at these stats, I think we have them. If you guys look at these stats right here, it's not even close. I didn't even name a third player. And over 313 votes, 58% of them said it's got to be somebody else. Because no one has the confidence in Isaiah Pacheco as a starting running back. I don't think this is a knock on Kareem Hunt, because you can see he got a 4th of the votes, and he is more of a short distance type of running back now, but people like his net positivity. He's a net positive for this offense. And I asked the question a couple of days ago, and that got about almost 400 votes. Who would you rather see the Chiefs trade for? We have that poll as well. Would you look at it? 79% of people would rather have Alvin Kamara than Tyreek Hill. Now, there probably are other intricacies to that, and I'm sure that people don't like some of the off-field stuff that's gone on with Tyreek, or the way it ended, where he was saying some shit about Patrick and talking about Tua being a better thrower and all that shit. I'm sure some people hold on to that stuff. But this tells me what Chiefs fans are not dumb. You guys know what this offense is missing. An explosive piece out of the backfield, a difference maker in the backfield. We talked about 2022 just a few minutes ago. Do you guys remember who led the Chiefs in receiving touchdowns that year? It wasn't Travis Kelce. I'm sorry, amongst all receiving options, it wasn't Travis Kelce. It wasn't Juju Smith-Schuster. It was Jerick McKinnon.
I want to get my boy Brashard Smith some touches, man.
And that's what I'm saying. There's got to be other options here is what I'm saying. And that, like I said, the idea of a 7th-round rookie is a lot. That's a lot to take on. So I think they need to bring a veteran in and let him ease into his role. Let Brashard, I believe in Brashard as well. But I don't want to see him get the bulk of everything yet, because I don't know if that's fair to him. Even though he is more talented than Isaiah, he's a former receiver, so he can get that stuff as well. But that might compliment him to have a veteran like Alvin Kamara around him to teach him some of those things. Sure. So I like this. I like the fact that Chiefs fans are in the same boat as I am when it comes to what they need to add, what they need to do. But Trevor, when it comes to the matinee thing, before our guy Harold KUNTZ joins us in a few minutes, just kind of get your thoughts on this, man, about this whole Nagy thing. Do you see it the way I do, or do you think there is a point of, yeah, Nagy needs to do a better job, just by definition?
Well, like our guy John Harrison was saying in the chat here earlier, the players got to go out there and make the plays. You know what I mean? There's been things drawn up, and lack of execution, I think, has been the biggest issue. And that could come back down to the coaches and position coaches as well, as far as discipline and that, having guys in the right place at the right time, because we don't see a lot of arguments about Spags not having his guys in the right place at the right time. Typically, Spags is on his shit, and he has his guys doing his thing. So we need to have some of that same expectations on the offensive side of things as well. But also, I mean, the resume speaks for itself. We've been to 3 straight Super Bowls with Matt Nagy here, or 2 straight with Matt Nagy.
3.
Oh yeah, 3 straight with Matt Nagy.
Yeah.
So I mean, listen, man, there's gonna be hits and there's gonna be misses, but at the same time, like, I would say we've overcome most. I mean, I can only imagine, this situation for anybody. Like John Harrison in the chat said, take A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, and Saquon Barkley off the field for the Eagles to see how that offense coordinator is looking. You know what I mean? Like, for real, dude. Like, let's be honest. Like, this is we've overcome. We've had to constantly overcome challenges. I mean, he had to overcome a challenge immediately walking back into this job when he lost the #1 receiver in Chiefs history. You You know what I mean? Tyreek Hill, one of the best players in football, one of the, maybe the most dynamic player we've ever seen, up there with the Barry Sanders and the best dynamic players we've ever seen in this league, Tyreek Hill. So you lose a guy like that, immediately getting your job back and having to find ways to piece together a whole new offense, because Tyreek Hill was a massive part of an offense that is no more. You know what I mean? So you have to change up everything, and then you got guys like Sky Moore, you got guys like Kadarius Toney, you got a 7th round running back that you know that you have to depend on. Not the most talented guy, but he's still getting the job done with all those guys.
Right.
And overcoming blunders and drop passes and tip drill interceptions and things like that, and still finding ways to, you know, be in the top half of the offenses in the league still. It wasn't like we were like 30th offense. All that shit. It's just the expectation is so high for the Chiefs, and we fall victim to it as fans here as well, because we have such a high standard, we have such a high expectation for this team. You know, we see the Chiefs fatigue across the league and all the talking heads on TV, but we're not you know, exempt of it too, because we have high expectations for this team. We're very critical of this team as well, but at the same time, I'm not going to sit here and blame Matt Nagy when he's had to be polishing turds a lot of times and having to find ways to fill vacancies of his star players every season. Every season he's had to find ways to overcome losing a star player.
Right.
Or multiple.
Right.
Multiple, actually, more than just a singular player. So it's give the guy a break, man. Let's see what happens when we get everybody back on the, and then I know that's asking a lot, but it's been years since we've had all of our pieces on the chessboard to play. So,
like, when was the last time we saw the Chiefs have their number 1 receiver, number 2 receiver, and a left tackle that's reliable on the field?
It's been since the Travis Kelce.
You know what I'm saying? Like, for real. Like, you have.
It's probably been since Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, and Kareem Hunt were here.
Name a single team in the history of the NFL besides the 2022 Chiefs that lost a player that prolific that won the Super Bowl while leading the league in offense. Like, it doesn't happen.
And it's not that we're getting high picks to go get these star players in the draft. We're getting, you know, basically an early second every year.
Right.
And we're trying to trade out of that or whatever.
You made the best point about that. It's like how many times over these last 3 years Matt Nagy has had to overcome stuff. Yeah. Like, it'd be one thing, guys, if Nagy had a healthy Xavier Rashid never got suspended because he never did anything stupid off the field. The Chiefs have had a Josh Simmons type left tackle this whole time, and they were struggling like this. They were 15th in offense, 21st in offense. That would be a different discussion. Then we're sitting here talking about, okay, it's clearly a strategic thing. It's clearly a schematic thing. It's clearly a coaching thing. Yeah. But when it's not, and it's obviously because Jimmys and Joes are missing and the X's and O's just can't overcome that, there's a reason, guys, why Tom Brady, I always reference this, there's a reason why Tom Brady left New England. I know everybody said that, you know, they just wanted to get rid of everybody and get rid of that whole Brady era. I think a lot of it had to do with Brady wanting to look for greener pastures because he saw the writing on the wall. Bill Belichick does not know how to draft skill position players. Yeah. The last Pro Bowler he ever drafted offensively was Rob Gronkowski. Right? That was over 15 years ago.
Yeah, once that started to dwindle, once Edelman was basically done.
Yes.
Like,
look at the players he was throwing to, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there were horrific receivers that Brady had. So where does he go? Oh, coincidentally, to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are not only in a shit-ass division, but also had 2 amazing receivers in Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, prime in there, by the way, prime Mike Evans, prime Chris Godwin, and he got Rob Gronkowski out of retirement. And all of a sudden, he's throwing 4,800 yards, 35 touchdowns again.
Where Gronk could be the 4th option.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, dude, like, there's no coincidences here. Yeah. That all of a sudden, Brady had this resurgence of his career. He would not have had that resurgence in his career if he stayed in New England, because they wouldn't have had the players to do so. And he goes to a warmer environment. He goes to a worse division, believe it or not, and he goes to a team that has a list of weapons, a plethora of weapons. And all of a sudden, Brady's back. Wait for that to happen for the Chiefs. Now, if and when the Chiefs get Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice at the same time, and Josh Simmons is still clicking and ascending into the player we think he is, and they struggle offensively, then we can have this conversation in a different way. But that's where I'm going to continue to hold down the fort and give context to where context I feel is deserved and needed. And it's perfect time to get context where it's needed, because we have our guy, a dude that I've been waiting for a long time to get back on the show. One of my favorite people in the content created world and in sports media as a whole in Kansas City. I'm so excited to have him back. If you guys have never followed this guy, I hope you change that today, because you're about to find out why he's worth your while. Let's give it up for Fox 4's one and only Harold KUNTZ. What's up, Harold?
What's up, guys? How we doing?
Dude, great. I'm so glad you're back on the show, man. How you been, brother?
I'm doing good. How you guys been, man?
We're living, dude. We're having fun. LIVIN. You know what I mean? We're ready to talk some football. We've been trying to get the show ramped up, ready to go, so we can get you in here hot and heavy, man. I want to jump in here first and foremost, Harold, because I know that you do a lot of reporting, and I know that's the basis of the job that you do, and you do a great job at that. But I want to have you on the show today to get your insight and your opinion on a few things, because I think that, and I want to start right here where we kind of started the show when it comes to Matt Nagy. There's some strong opinions out there, but I think a lot of times the opinion is a little misguided. And I broke it down just a minute ago, but I think that people count the misses and not the hits. And I'm not here trying to be Mr. Defend Matt Nagy, but I think that it's confusing when people look at this offense and say, okay, it's clearly Andy Reid's offense, Patrick Mahomes is the magician, and they get all the credit for everything good that happens. But when things kind of go wiry or kind of go haywire and, there's pieces missing, those aren't the things we focus on. It's like, well, Matt Nagy, it's got to be his fault, just like they did with Eric Bieniemy after 2021. It's got to be Eric Bieniemy. And we don't count the fact that we've seen the development of Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, two guys that we're extremely excited to get back in this offense because we think it's going to click once that happens. We're not talking about Josh Simmons, the development he's had. We're not talking about some of the guys that have actually done well, or the fact that in 2022, right after trading Tyreek Hill, this offense leads the league in points, explosive plays. They win the Super Bowl. Matt Nagy was the offensive coordinator that year, and people forget about that, and it feels like just ancient history. Where are you at when it comes to Matt Nagy? Where do you think, what amount of responsibility does he hold for this offense moving forward and right now? And do you think he's doing a good enough job to kind of do away with some of these negative viewpoints and opinions?
I think any responsibility you want to blame Matt Nagy on, you also have to blame Andy Reid on. It just really comes down to that simple. Yes, he's the offensive coordinator, but yeah, we know Andy Reid is pretty much the architect of the offense. I think that's pretty well documented by now. One. Two, when it comes to pass game coordination, run game coordination, I mean, if you want to argue run game coordination, maybe that's where they miss Eric Bieniemy, since that was his specialty. That's one thing you could say. I mean, he's going back to being a running back coach in Chicago now. That may be something there. But honestly, with Nagy, I mean, it's really just more of the brain trust of Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Matt Nagy, and some of the other people on that staff that they do come up with the plays. And I point to this. They want to have a quick start. Well, the first time they got a first down in their first drive was the game in New York. So the first two didn't work out. And we know that New York is not a good opponent as opposed to the other two teams they played in the Chargers and the Eagles. So you have to look at the script. One, there's insight from everybody involved, so everybody collectively takes fault at it. I mean, if you want to blame Nagy, that's fine, just because, Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes have some of the longest leashes that there will ever be, not only in Kansas City, but nationally with their success. But so you have to find somebody to point out, and I can understand fans' frustration with Matt Nagy, but it's all collectively a whole. If they're not executing right, if they're not running through the holes that they need to run through, if they're not seeing the holes that they need to run through, if they're not calling for deep shots early in the passing attack and instead trying to get down the field as easy as possible and as quick as possible at first, people are going to find that out first. Whereas opposed to seeing the second half against the Giants, that first drive was so efficient. They simplified things. They ran the ball better. They gave simplified runs for them, simplified concepts. The passing game was nice and quick. Mahomes' feet were better in the pocket as he found receivers. So sometimes it just takes a lot of give and take. Yes, you're still finding an identity of your team early in the season, but it takes give and take to see what your offense wants to do, what they're better at, what's going to work. And you're not going to get the solution to start the game sometimes, but as long as you get the solution during the game, then that's the best thing. So right now they're at a situation where they're not finding it to start, but they find it somewhat toward the third quarter, or sometimes a halftime adjustment there. We saw it in the Chargers game. We saw that in the Giants game. So right now the adjustment's better than the start, but I'm sure a lot of fans want to see the start as good as the adjustment as well in the second half.
And speaking of that, the Chiefs looks like the Xavier Worthy is going to be back. We don't know what exactly we're gonna get out of Xavier Worthy in this week. Could he be more of a decoy type player, or is he going to have a full list of plays ready to go? We don't really know yet. I think you'd probably be more informed on that, which is why we're glad you're here. But I think that you said it best right there. Getting a good start, getting the offense to play at a highest function possible and imaginable, given the X's and O's and Jimmys and Joes they have right now. I think that is very important, especially against an offense like the Ravens that can put up points. Now, we know that the defense is going to have to continue to play the way they've been playing over these last 2 weeks, and I think they're going to. But I think there is something to be said to getting Patrick in that rhythmic type of offense. And you saw it in that second half, the start off the second half against the Giants, where they ran the ball 6 times, threw the ball 5 times, and what do you know? It's the best drive of the season. They got to keep that going. Do you think that Xavier Worthy is going to be somebody that is implemented both in the receiving and rushing game in this week, or do you think that's going to be something we're going to have to see later on as that shoulder continues to heal?
Yeah, it really depends on how he's feeling. Xavier Worthy's going to give it a go. This is a guy who played with a broken hand in college. He gave it a go then. This is a guy that's tough. We thought when that injury happened, it looked a lot more severe than what we originally planned, and now he's here set to play on Sunday. I'm sure it'll be somewhat limited in the snap count. Let's remember, he only played 3 plays in that game against the Chargers, so it's not like he's really got a full ramp-up process to a regular season game, along with all his work in St. Joe and throughout the preseason. So he's still going to have somewhat of a ramp-up process. He won't be at 100% of the plays he would normally run during a given game. That being said, do they trust the end around? Do they trust him stretching out the offense? I can see a lot more verts because it's like, look, the speed's still there. We know that. So he can do something a lot with his speed going forward in the game and try to stretch out the defense, open things up. And we know Baltimore is this specific game. We know Baltimore is susceptible to the run game. Their run defense, well, overall their defense is statistically not good. It is what it is. They're giving up 415 yards average. So we know there's opportunities there, especially with them being banged up still on the defensive front. Now, one way to get your run game going, stretch out with the concepts there with the pass routes. So, yeah, I can see Xavier Worthy, not necessarily as a decoy. He's still a viable option Sunday, but he's going to make sure to add a different dynamic to that offense, something that they really wanted to do from the jump, and stretch out the field, stretch out that offense, get some opportunities to get some more focus on him, because the Baltimore Ravens defense will definitely be focused on him. You can't ISO Xavier Worthy, that's for sure. You're going to get burnt if it does. That also opens up an opportunity for a Juju Smith-Schuster, a Hollywood Brown. It means they don't have to play as many plays, therefore they're fresher, because a lot of Juju Smith-Schuster was having to be in Hollywood Brown. They were having to kind of transition into being the number 1 receiver. They don't have to do that now. And then we have to see maybe if Jalen Rose comes in for, who knows, 10 plays. If anything, it's just a breather for those veterans in Hollywood and Juju to be able to do their thing out there in the field. So it's a different dynamic for sure. But I think the depth piece and just the addition piece is the biggest part of the puzzle with Xavier Worthy's return. You get guys breaks. You get him to stretch the field. You get things. You get more of an option to operate amongst the offensive scheme.
I've been hearing all week long, mostly from the national media, of course, who needs this game more? And I don't listen to too much. Kind of a non-starter.
Yeah, I don't listen to too much national media.
Yeah, fair enough. But it feels like a non-starter because clearly both these teams need it. And I think we're all very confident that at the end of the day, come January, both these teams will probably be in the postseason. But I feel like it's a game that both these teams absolutely have to have, because for the Ravens, if in the first month of the season you have a loss to the Bills and Chiefs, that's really setting you back. The Chiefs, they lose to the Chargers, Eagles, and Ravens in the first month. That sets you back just period. So it's not a good look for either one of these teams. Having said that, I think this is a game where the Chiefs have to come into this going, look, we have to set a precedent now. Now, the excuses are starting to dwindle because we are getting one of our best weapons back. Our defense is playing good football, and for weeks at a time now, like the excuses are going out the window now. I think this is a game where the Chiefs, I'm not really concerned about the score. I heard Mitch Holthus say on 96.5 yesterday that he thinks that, the Chiefs need to try to figure a way to get 30. I'm not so sure if that's necessarily an actual truth, because I think this defense can play good enough to keep the Ravens within like the low 20s, at least in my opinion. But especially with just all the injuries and things that the Ravens are dealing with on both sides of the ball, especially with Ronnie Stanley. And that's a huge loss if they don't have him. But I feel like this is a game where the Chiefs just need to find a way to just win this. I know that sounds simplistic and it's dumb, but it is the truth. I'm not expecting this game to be beautiful, and it's like you just one of those like throwback 2018 style of offensive games where the Chiefs are dropping 38 points. They could. I'm not expecting it, but that's not really what I'm focused on. What I'm focused on is just seeing the Chiefs just continue to stack W's until the games ultimately matter the most, which we know the Chiefs are waiting for the postseason because they believe they're going to be there. I believe they're going to get there. I'm sure you do as well. But just looking at this matchup in totality, where's your confidence meter right now for the Chiefs? Do you feel like this is a game that, even though they're underdogs, they should come in this game feeling like we're going to win this game. We're going to take care of business at home. We're going to beat up a banged-up Ravens team. Where are you at right now with this matchup?
Yeah, I mean, just like the offense sometimes needs to be simplified, I'm going to make it very simple for you. And this is the reason why the Chiefs and the Ravens both need to win every game. No NFL player ever woke up on a Sunday morning or Thursday morning or Saturday morning, Friday morning, Tuesday morning, whatever day they play these days, and said, "Yeah, we'll be fine if we lose." No NFL players ever said that in the history of mankind. So yes, both teams want to win the game, and both teams need to win the game. That's very clear. I would say this about the Ravens: they might have more of an opportunity in the AFC North the way that's playing out with Cincinnati with their injury problems at quarterback. Cleveland, obviously, kind of trying to stay above water. And in Pittsburgh, we don't know how long Aaron Rodgers is going to last. So maybe, if the Ravens were to lose this game, even at 1-3, they're still staring at an AFC North that's still feasible to win. Chiefs lose this game. I would look at the Chargers. They're probably going to win this week. They're highly favored to win this week. You're 3 games back, and the Chargers are 3-0 in the division already. Yeah, that's difficult. That is difficult to come by. So yes, I mean, we just look at it from a paper standpoint. Yeah. The Chiefs can't afford to be 1-3, but they couldn't afford to be 1-3. Period. Even if it didn't matter how the 1-3 happened. They couldn't avoid. They have to avoid being 1-3. Period, because it's just harder to do things at 1-3. Just like they had to avoid being 0-3 last week. So, it's definitely a must-win situation for both games, for both teams. And I would teeter on must-win more for the Chiefs just because of the situation in the division. But yeah, it really comes down to we know, and Mitch Holthus.
I'm somebody who's always looking for solutions. We know that the Chiefs right now don't really have a good running attack, and I'm somebody who loves a balanced offensive attack. I think that's what we've been sitting here wondering why is Patrick Mahomes not playing the same level of football he once did? Well, there's context. He hasn't had a real left tackle in a couple of years. Nothing but injuries and drops from his skill positions. Travis Kelce's progressively aged, as we all expected. He's in his mid-30s now. And they really haven't retooled the talent level on the offensive side for the last couple of years. They've tried. It just hasn't really worked to this point. And hopefully Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice continue to build their games and become star players in this league. But I think that the Chiefs need to make a move this year at running back. I know that there's hope that, 7th-round rookie Rashad Smith can make, some things happen. But again, 7th-round rookie. Jalen Royals, 4th-round pick, that maybe he'll develop into something, but that's still such a widely unknown piece and commodity. I think the Chiefs need to go get themselves a proven veteran running back. Now, obviously, if they can swing the Tyreek Hill trade, awesome. If they could convince the Dolphins or the Jets to foolishly give up on their 24-year-old star running backs, awesome. They'll revisit the contract conversation after that because those guys would have to get paid if the Chiefs made that trade. That's a different conversation. But there's a veteran running back out there that I think would fit this offense seamlessly and would be a guy that could really add that juice the Chiefs haven't had out of the running back room since 2022 when Jerick McKinnon was what he was for this offense. Yeah. And that's Alvin Kamara. Now, obviously, there has to be some scenarios that have to work out right, but let's be real. The Saints are a bad team. The Chiefs are a Super Bowl hopeful team. I think it makes a lot of sense also in the grand scheme of things of the financial side. The Chiefs don't have a ton of money, but they got a little over $3 million. Alvin Kamara right now would be worth about $3 million if they had made that trade. He has a dead cap hit of $18 million next year, which means the Saints are going to be moving off him because they're in cap hell, and they're not going to be holding on to a soon-to-be 31-year-old running back worth that kind of money. So I think this makes a lot of sense in the grand scheme of things for both teams, and I think the Chiefs need to make a move like this, something similar at least in your eyes. Like, what do you think the Chiefs are going to do? Are they going to sit around and not do anything, or do you think this is the type of move they would make?
They're going to sit around and see what the offense looks like when Rashee Rice gets back. And then if they don't like what they see, they're going to make a move. I think Brett Veach, from everything I've gathered and heard, he's kind of just in the sit-back mode because he hasn't seen the complete offensive system yet. We don't know how good everybody could be with the offensive unit as a whole, as healthy. You know that we haven't seen Hollywood, Rasheed, and Xavier in the same game at the same time. So we still have not seen the full focus of what the Kansas City Chiefs offense wants to be. And we'll see how it happens when Josh Simmons is 7-8 games into his NFL career and Kingsley Suamati is 7-8 games into his, well, I know it's his second season, but 7-8 games into his really new NFL career at guard. So that's what they want to see. I've also thought for a second, like, where's the development of Rashad Smith? Did it get him involved more? You know, I know there's been clamoring for him to get more involvement. And we also know injuries happen too. Because we know Kareem Hunt, you know, God love him. He's up there and he could get injured at any time. We know Pacheco has an injury history, and that's why Elijah Mitchell has been inactive basically the entire time because they've been holding on. They got a veteran. I continue to tell people, like, they got a veteran. He just hasn't been activated in Elijah Mitchell. And a lot is because he's been kind of Mr. Glass in his career too with injuries. So they've got 5 guys that are in. Carson's still sitting there in the locker room every day, just like, hey, remember I played once. So they've got 5 guys there that they've played in games before, and they just, for lack of a better reason, it hasn't worked out. So do you want to get an Alvin Kamara? Sure. I'm sure a team like the Saints or somebody else, they're going to be fire selling, or the Dolphins will be fire selling. I mean, we've heard of Achane. Obviously, there's the Tyreek Hill, even though that costs way too much money and probably not going to happen. But there is a lot when it comes into bringing in another veteran when you already have veterans in the room. Kareem Hunt's a veteran. He's in the room. Elijah Mitchell's a veteran. He's in the room. So you're going to bring in another veteran to just be in the room? No, you should have done it during the draft. I mean, that's no offense to Rashad Smith. He may not have been a 7th-round pick, but I'm looking at Cam Scatterboo, and I'm like, that guy could have been good. That guy could have fit. I'm looking at a few other running backs that were kind of rookies, and it's hard to run the NFL. Let's be straight here. It's hard. It's just hard in the modern day NFL to have a traditional, oh yeah, this back's gonna get 1,200 yards. Like, that's hard unless you're Saquon Barkley. So, and we're seeing him struggle this year. I mean, just because everybody's starting to key on him now, and yeah, but I mean, they have a veteran on the field. They have them there. They're in the locker room. They just haven't used them yet. So I don't know if they're holding them for down the line, playing the long game of the season, which, you know, the Chiefs tend to do, or what. But I wouldn't make a rash judgment unless seeing the offense with Rasheed, with Xavier, with Hollywood, people healthy, having Travis Kelce as like a 3rd, 4th option. I know it's crazy, but it sounds like, but that's what he should be. I mean, we saw the transition. One of the biggest things in the Giants game I saw was the transition from Travis Kelce being that top option to being like, no, you're like the 3rd option. Tyquan's our 1st option now. I mean, that's just how the offense is going to be. And we kind of thought that coming in, that the receivers are going to be the top option now. Not the run game, not the tight ends. It's going to be the receivers. They have not had the full allotment yet. So until they have that full allotment, then they have some time to make some decisions before the trade deadline to see if they really need to. But they got to see their full offense first. That's just really what it comes down to.
I got a couple more questions for you, Harold, and we appreciate your time so much, man.
Yeah, man.
They're both going to be on the defensive side because I think right now Chiefs fans are starting to feel a lot more comfortable about this defense as the weeks have gone on. They played so well against the Eagles, allowing 216 total yards.
Yeah.
And then this last week, Russell Wilson just could not do a damn thing.
Well, part of that's
Russell, they just could not make plays.
Yeah,
Maybe that has more to do about the Giants, but I think because the Chiefs played so well against the Eagles the week before, I think people are feeling a lot better about this defense. And I think that Spags continues to, as the season goes on, his defenses usually get better. And, 8 of their 9 defensive backs are on the rookie deal still. So there's still some gelling in effect. And as I mentioned before, this is the first time in over 6 years the Chiefs haven't had the luxury of having a Tyrann Mathieu or a Justin Reed leading the back end of their defense. So that, it's a big thing. And I think this defense is going to continue to get better. But, let's be real, man. Primarily, defenses are what they are based upon their pass rush. And the Chiefs have not been able to find that right now. Now, I'm hopeful that Ashton Ghouliadi will continue to develop. He's looked promising. But let's be real, man. George Karlaftis has been very underwhelming this year. Chris Jones, been very underwhelming this year. And he's been more noted for being out of position or making the wrong decision than making big plays this year. And that's just not like him. I'm not giving up on this pass rush, but I am a little concerned because I don't like what I've seen so far through the better part of a month. I think it can get better. I think they can be more progressive. And obviously having Mike Dana hopefully back in the next couple of weeks is going to be huge for them as well. But I'm not impressed by what I'm seeing from this defensive pass rush, man. And I need you to kind of convince me that it's going to get better, or just be brutally honest with me and tell me it's not, and they're just going to have to make do with it. I mean, what do you see from this pass rush? Do you think it's going to get better, or is this just what we're going to see for the 2025 season?
Yeah, I think you're going to have to make do with a few more blitzes from Steve Spagnuolo. Not necessarily the personnel. The personnel is the personnel. I think George Karlaftis knows he could play a little bit better. They had some momentum going there in the Giants game in the second half. I think that the addition of Mike Dana back will help at least add another depth piece. And Ashton Gelati, Omar Norman-Lott, those guys both have to keep developing their craft. I mean, I spoke to Ashton on Wednesday, and I mean, he's a guy, as he said, he's still ascending, even though Chris Jones says he's doing the right things. He says he's still ascending. He's not where he wants to be, which is a good thing you want to hear from a guy that, you know, one is a rookie and is learning, but he's been thrown into the fire a lot early on in his NFL career, and he's trying to get better. And there's some aha moment, you know, there's some moves that come in. There's some veteran things that, you know, you can finally get as time progresses that where Ashton Gelati and Omar Norman-Lott can become those guys. I think Omar Norman-Lott can be a dude. I think Ashton Gelati can be a dude. Are they going to be a dude in week 4? No. Can they take advantage of the Ravens left tackle position, which is Ronnie Staley, who's out right now? Yes. Yes, they can. We saw the Lions sack Lamar Jackson 7 times. I see zero reason why the Chiefs cannot sack Lamar Jackson 2 or 3 times. Without question. I see no reason. And they should. They should expect to. They should expect 3 or 4 sacks. Just because of the way the Ravens are offense. I mean, the Lions gave you a great scheme. Even though they scored 30 points, and jumping back to what Mitch Holtz said about scoring 30, yeah, the Lions sacked Lamar Jackson 7 times and got a Derrick Henry fumble. They still scored points. The Ravens still scored points, a lot of points. So they're going to score points in this game. Just know that. They're going to score more than 24. Like, it's going to happen just because that's the way they are. Now, all that to say, the Chiefs are probably the best defense they've faced. I don't think the Bills' defense is really shown to be that great. And I know the Lions' defense is great, but again, they gave up points. Even though they sacked Lamar 7 times and Derrick Henry was still giving them the ball. Well, you got the blueprint. Sack them, get the ball. And I really think the secondary is really helping the defensive line here because they're not getting to the ball, but they're still holding up in the back end. And they've got versatile units there between Trent McDuffie, Jalen Watson, who I think is having a really good year. I think he took that Super Bowl performance to heart and knew he needed to improve. And he's having a really good year so far. And for him to do what he's doing to Malik Neighbors, who's a very good target, I think that was impressive. We didn't talk about that enough. I think Jalen Watson deserves a lot of credit there. With those 2 guys, getting McDuffie naturally in the slot where he wants to be, and then Jaden Hicks and Shamari Connor and Chris Roland Wallace, those guys' development, that's helping the back end. I mean, they need help. Instead of vice versa. But you'd like to get some pressure. There just needs development. That's just all it is. It just needs development. We know Chris is going to line up wherever he wants. We've been seeing him line up at end. We've been seeing him line up at 3 tech. I mean, he's 1 tech. You got a sack at 3 tech for the first time, and God knows when. So, I mean, he's trying. He's moving around because he knows the other pieces are not working right now. It just needs time. And, you know, for a guy like Chris Jones at his age, he doesn't have time. But he needs time. They just need time to develop. Simple as that.
That's well said, man. And you know, you mentioned a guy's name just now. This is kind of this is the question I got to get you out of here on. And I know it's not a question that we can really answer right now per se, but I think you're the perfect guy to have on the show because outside of people that work for the Chiefs, you're one of the more well-connected people. So I think you have at least a sense or a vibe of what's going on or what's going to go on. You know, there's a lot of questions surrounding Trent McDuffie right now.
Yeah.
We all know one of the questions isn't whether he's a good player or not. We all know he's fantastic. But we also know there's a tendency here in how Brett Veach has built his defenses, and we know that if you're not only building an NFL roster, but an NFL roster that's continually and perennially going to be contending for Super Bowl championships, you have to be cheap somewhere. And the Chiefs have chosen to be cheap at corner. And this has been kind of my approach all offseason and last offseason as well. that I'm not so steadfast on the fact, or assuming that the Chiefs are going to be paying Trent McDuffie the market value that he's got out there right now, which is, I think, if I'm not mistaken, well over $100 million. I mean, DaRon Bland just got 92, and he's nowhere near the player Trent McDuffie is. So I have a hard time believing it's going to happen, but I'm going to listen to people that are connected like yourself if you tell me otherwise, which is why I want to give you the platform here to just at least give me, I'm not even saying like tell me what you're hearing, just in your opinion, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think that Trent McDuffie is going to be here for the foreseeable future, or do you think it's going to be something more similar to the L'Jarius Sneed situation?
I think Clark Hunt has made it pretty clear he likes to keep his guys. And by his guys, it means the guys that they've spent time invested on and drafted. And so I also look at the 2023 draft class, which was, if we remember correctly, led by FAU and Rasheed. And those, not FAU, but even Rasheed, that's dicey. And then with the increasing salary cap, there's room for Trent McDuffie. I think the math just works out where he can get something. Now, highest paid, I'm not sure. And that's the deal with his agency. But I go back to when Trent was asked, I think Nate actually asked him in a public setting, about like, hey, what's going on with your contract? He's like, I'm good. I'm thinking about the regular season now. I'll worry about it next year. I mean, you don't want to hear it that way, but at the same time, I understand what he's saying. Like the season's near, but yeah, it's the thing that they decided to do it George first before Trent. That's fine. They value George. George got to step up and play to that contract too, but they value George. And that's kind of the way they've always been. They're gonna, and that's just the defensive scheme. They're gonna value defensive players that are at the line. Does they need depth at premium pieces, which is defensive end? That's a premium place. Slot cornerback, edge cornerback, not as premium. So something. So they might, and they like the way they draft and develop there. All that being said, that's a guy who's a first-round draft pick. That's the guy that you invested resources in. That's the guy who does a lot in the community. He does everything that the Kansas City Chiefs organization wants you to do. So you would think, yes, he should have investment. So it becomes a matter of the timing. And I think for his sake, I think he was basically told, like, let's revisit this next year. They're going to have an increase in the salary cap. They know they got to renew Mahomes' contract and everything. And Mahomes is going to be more than happy to do whatever's the best for the company. Like, he's the ultimate company guy. He's going to do whatever's best. So they'll work out the financials. And who knows? They might have we already know that there's going to be a couple guys potentially off the books next year. There's, I don't know, Jawan Taylor might not be a Chief next year. There's Travis Kelce, might not be a Chief next year. So what's that, $36 million right there? Just have some patience. It'll be fine.
I like it, Harold. Dude, I really can't thank you enough for being here today. It's been way too long. I feel bad, but then again, I know you're a busy guy, so you make any time for us, even if I'm assuming it's your day off. We definitely appreciate it, man. If you could, before you go, let the people know where they can find you on the social platforms, when you're on air, when you're on TV, all that stuff, man. We'd very much appreciate it because we want as many people to follow you as possible, man.
Yeah, Fox 4 locally in the Kansas City market, and social media. I go by Harold R. KUNTZ, the number 3. And you can find me on Instagram, TikTok now. I'm trying that. I know it's an adventure for me, but I am trying it. I'm a little older than that, but hey, whatever gets the crowd going. Instagram too, and obviously X/Twitter. So yeah, you can find me there. Always trying to post stuff and try to keep people abreast of what's going on in the KC community, not just Chiefs, but we got everything else too in the KC market. So like a busy college football day. So yeah, we got a lot of things going on the social website, and we'll keep you informed, keep you advised.
Hell yeah. Harold, again, thank you so much for being with us today, dude. We got to get you back on sometime this season. Really appreciate you, bro, and great stuff as always. Everybody give him a follow. Harold, you have yourself an awesome Saturday, brother.
All right, man. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, bro. Thank you so much. That's our guy, Harold KUNTZ. Cannot thank him enough, dude. That guy knows his stuff better than most out there. And what I appreciate about Harold the most is he's all about that action. He doesn't promote himself and act like I'm the most well-informed guy. He just goes out there and does it. And those are people I respect. Does the job, does it the right way. He's a great dude, great classy guy, man. He always has great information. I can always rely on him to give us great insight. And for those that are the Trent McDuffie pro Trump pay Trent McDuffie guys, that sounds like pretty good news to me, man, because he does make a good point about the cap situation. Chiefs are going to have a lot of money next year. I do believe that Juwan Taylor, Travis Kelce, guys like that will be gone. And that will open up a lot of money for the Chiefs if that is something they do want to do. We'll obviously revisit that conversation when that time is more relevant. But yeah, I had to get. I'm sure, Trevor, you understand. I had to ask Harold that question while we had him on the show, man. It's just something we have to know. So, but I don't know about you guys, but listening to Harold break this matchup down with the Ravens it made me feel even more kind of a reinforcement of where I stand on this.
Yeah.
And that's where I want to start now, Trev, because kind of, if it's okay with you, man, not to put you on the spot, but I'd like, because you didn't talk for the last 30 minutes. I'd like to kind of get your insight, your viewpoint on this matchup first and foremost when it comes to the Chiefs. We know that there's the issue with the injuries with the Ravens. The Chiefs may not have Mike Dana this week, but it does sound like Christian Fulton will make a return. We obviously know that Xavier Worthy and Jalen Royals will be suited up, which is great news. But we know that this Ravens team can put up points with the best of them. And we know that is something that has to be taken seriously, has to be respected. Chiefs defense is playing really well. How are you feeling about this matchup right now going into this game, man?
Well, I mean, I'm kind of on the side of us needing to put up some points.
Okay.
That's I do want to see that, because as much as we were all happy to get off the schneid and get that win last week against the Giants, I still was not very impressed. Outside of a couple deep shots that Pat had that connected, I wasn't very impressed with our offense. Still a lot of things that I was very confused and puzzled about. Just even on Patrick Mahomes' end of things, just why are we throwing 3 yards backwards and to the dirt? It was just some things that were very worrisome still for me. And I know we're missing guys. I get that. But I do want to see, obviously, this defense get after Lamar Jackson. And I trust this defense to do well. But the Ravens are a team that are very crafty, very dynamic, and find ways to get points regardless of who they're playing typically. So this defense is going to do their best. And I fully expect them to show up and do their best. But I got to see more out of this offense. I got to see a better run game. I got to see consistency in the running game. I don't want to see 3 good runs in a row where we get 5, 6, 7 yards and then we don't run for the next 15 plays.
Exactly. Right.
What the hell are we doing?
Right.
That's where I understand the criticisms of Matt Nagy. I get that. The lack of consistency is something that is one of the misses that we need to count.
Yeah.
And that's frustrating to see. There's no continuity when we are putting together good drives and then we do stupid stuff to completely shoot ourselves in the foot on a good drive.
Yeah.
I got to see more out of that. I got to see us finishing drives. I got to see us, have a balanced offensive attack. Like I said, if somebody's not performing well, if Pacheco's running into his blockers and not actually finding the holes and running through them, somebody else we got to get somebody else who understands how to run the football properly in this scheme. Whether it's Kareem Hunt, whether it's Brashard Smith, whether it's even Elijah Mitchell, somebody. We got to get production of the running game. I think that's, especially in this matchup, running the ball really effectively, opening up the play action plays, allowing Pat to have time to throw the ball. Because regardless of how this Ravens defense has looked, which not looked very well,
right?
They still have dogs in this team. They still have guys that want to hit us. They still have guys that want to get after Patrick Mahomes and send a message. This is still very much a rivalry between us. Those guys, Roquan Smith and the boys over there, they want to put a lick on us because we've had beef with these guys.
Absolutely.
Right? So we need to be on our P's and Q's and we need to protect ourselves. But at the same time, I want to go put up 27, 30 points, dude. I really, really want to see that. And I know it's probably not going to happen because a lot of times when we win games, we don't have to win games in shootouts, especially if our defense is doing what they've been doing the last few weeks. But yeah, man, I really just want to see consistency in the offense. That's the main thing I'm looking for. Getting guys involved. Hopefully Xavier Worthy looks good. I'm sure he'll probably be on a snap count. I would imagine he's probably not going to play the whole.
Right.
I don't think he's going to go in there and get the whole workload. But maybe getting guys like Jalen Royals some reps. Maybe or getting other guys. Nico. We've seen in spurts looked really good when he gets the ball in his hands. So mix things up. Have some consistency, a balanced attack, offensively try to control the game, control the clock as much as possible. And then defensively, don't get beat over the top because that's the danger of facing Lamar Jackson. He's a guy that can extend plays and he's good at having guys like 𝚂𝙿𝙸𝚂𝙾𝙳𝙴, that Wallace guy, random guys that get deep shots over on defenses because the play breaks down and things get lost and guys get lost over the top, and Lamar can beat you that way. So containing Lamar and just having some consistency offensively. Yeah, man, that's the main thing. I think I just want to see quick plays offensively, whether it's bubble screens, running through the air. If we have to do that, that's fine. Getting guys in space, scheming guys open. It's been really hard for us to scheme guys open for some reason. And Pat being a little more accurate, man. Like, Pat's got to be a little bit more accurate. He's been struggling with some accuracy here, some underthrown balls, just weird play calls, in my opinion, the last couple weeks. Run the ball, man. Set up play action. Get Patrick Mahomes in rhythm. He always looks out of rhythm. That's really frustrating. Pat's always the best when he's in rhythm, not having to run for his life or having to be the leading rusher of the game. We have to stop depending on him for that. So just letting Pat work comfortably. I know it's asking a lot with these guys on that defensive line and those linebackers over there in Baltimore who have been underperforming, but they're going to get up for this one. So we have to get up and match that energy.
Yeah, so I feel like the threat of the Ravens offense is making us feel that way, and I understand it. But I am gonna lean heavily into this Chiefs defense this week. I think, and also it has a lot to do with the fact that the Chiefs are dealing with a very banged up Ravens offense and defense.
Offensive line too.
Yeah. Like Ronnie Stanley may not go in this game.
Right.
That's their left tackle. And we know that better than anybody, fan base wise, what it's like to watch an offense without your left tackle. It sucks, literally. The biggest reason I didn't really go into detail of why I felt the way I felt about Mitch Holthus saying what he said about the Chiefs need to find a way to get to 30. The biggest reason why I feel that way is because I think the Chiefs proved in that Giants game, and again, I'm with you, they didn't play a great offensive game, but they had a great offensive drive in a very pivotal portion of the game. And I think that can be replicated by this offense, especially with Xavier Worthy coming back, is the balanced attack. Now, I know you're going to say it, and I'm going to say it too in my own head. Andy Reid just loves going away from what works, and it drives me insane. Andy Reid loves to just throw the shit out of the football, and trust me, I love it too. I love seeing Patrick throw the football. We all do. But a balanced attack is what this offense has to have. And we saw it eventually in 2023. We saw it eventually in 2024. And I think that's the biggest reason why the Chiefs ended up going to the Super Bowl both those years, is they finally got out of their own heads and realized we got to play a little bit more of a boring style of offense right now while our Jimmies and Joes are out.
Yeah. And
that works every single time. They started to lean into Kareem Hunt last year. What happened? The offense had a balanced attack for once. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if you guys saw the stat. I tweeted this out this week. For just so everybody understands why I'm so confident in Kareem Hunt being an effective piece for this offense. Since he came back to the Chiefs in 2024, in games that he gets at least 10 touches, the Chiefs are 11-1. 11-1. Now, I'm not saying that's the end-all, be-all. What I'm saying is there's got to be something to this idea of, hey, let's run an offense that isn't so predictable. Let's run an offense that sets up play action. Let's run an offense that makes the defense have to stack a box so we get some one-on-ones on the outside. Like, there's something to that. Even more so with the limited amount of resources at skill position. I think that second half opening act is what the Chiefs have to continue to build off of right now until they get their star receiver, Rashee Rice, and get Xavier Worthy back into the swing of things. Like, that's what's got to happen. And I think that they can and will do that against a defense in the Ravens who unlike the Giants, I'm going to give the Giants actually some credit here, have a formidable pass rush. The Ravens don't. They have, one sack this season, 2 sacks this season as a defense? Mm-hmm. They're one of the worst defenses in every aspect. If we could throw up there real quick the Ravens defensive rankings this year, Ravens defense. This is just their total defense and scoring defense. Dead last and 31st, so second to dead last. Those are in offense or defense and in the scoring defense, yards per game, everything. And this doesn't even include their sack totals. They're worse than the Chiefs are at getting to the quarterback. They are a bad and broken defense right now. Trevor's right. They got Roquan Smith. They got some good guys. They got names. Kyle Hamilton. They got Marlon Humphreys, who I'm going to mention in a little bit.
Yeah.
They got dudes. So what the hell is wrong with this defense? I don't know, but you know what I do know? The Chiefs have to capitalize off it. And the best way to beat a bad defense or a defense that's down on their luck right now is to keep them guessing.
Exploit it, man.
If you throw the ball 46 times in this game, this defense is going to go, okay, all we got to do is play shell defense, play prevent defense, and make Patrick throw underneath every single time. That's all we got to do.
David Montgomery was eating them alive.
Eating them alive.
You know what I mean? Like
he's their backup running back.
Right.
You know
So,
what I mean? Respect him, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, man. So this is, like I said, last week I felt like Pacheco's chance to really show something. I felt like Pacheco played good enough to keep him afloat, in my opinion, for me personally, and how I view him right now. This matchup's even better. This Ravens defense is even worse against the run.
Yes.
So run the ball, man. Like, honestly, run the ball. I'm not saying we got to run the ball 50 times, but run the ball 20, 25 times, at least in this game. You know, have a 70-30 split. Give me that.
Yeah.
I know we're going to throw the ball a shit ton. That's just how Andy Reid's offenses go, and I'm not going to tell Andy Reid to change his stripes. But let's have a balance here, man.
And this is why, Trevor,
you want Pacheco to be that guy. This is his last year with us, most likely. Let the dude run the ball.
And this is why I said that I don't think this is my whole why I'm forming my whole opinion on the idea that the Chiefs don't need to score 30 in this game to win, because I think if they have a balanced attack, they slow the game down, and we know how Lamar gets. When Lamar's pressing, and we've seen Derek this year. When Derek has pressure on him, he's been fumbling the ball, and that's one of my favorite players ever, Derek John Henry.
Yeah.
But
2 straight weeks, man.
All 3 games. Derek's fumbled all 3 games.
I didn't know that.
Now, I don't think he lost one of them.
Oh, so
but the Bills game he lost one. Yes, but he's lost 2 of them. Yeah. So my point is, we've seen the Ravens and what they do when they press, and when the pressure's on, what happens to them. And I'm going to talk about that in just a second as well. But if the Chiefs limit the possessions of Lamar Jackson and make him have to throw the ball more and have to throw downfield, that opens up the opportunity for more turnovers. That's what happened literally just last week against the Giants, when the Chiefs were limiting them and they weren't allowing them to do whatever they wanted against the Cowboys like they did a week ago. What did Russ do? Threw it right to defenders. Had to make terrible decisions. Let Lamar do the same thing. Set him up for failure. Don't let him get the ball 7 to 9 times in this game. Limit him to 5 to 7 possessions. Make him have to score on every drive to beat you. And the best way for the Chiefs to do that is to let their defense rest, because you're going to be chasing Lamar all over the damn field. And you got the physical abilities of Derrick Henry. They're going to get banged up already. So limit that. Let your defense rest for 5 to 10 minutes at a time. Yeah. Convert on 3rd and 4th downs, run the ball like you just said, and what are you going to have? A fresh defense, a confidence defense with the crowd behind them, and you're making Lamar have to press. Lamar's never played good at Arrowhead anyway, so don't let him start to get a rhythm in Arrowhead. Don't let him feel good about himself. Make him have to work. That's why I'm saying that I think, and I know Harold says he doesn't think that the Ravens will score less than 24. I actually think they can and will. I think the Chiefs can keep them to 24 or less, because, like I said, their offense has to set up their defense. The defense is already good. The Chiefs already have their defense down. I think that Spags is getting this thing rolling, and they're getting healthy too. Adding Christian Fulton's a big thing. But also the offense getting healthier and playing more of a style of a balanced attack is going to set up their defense as well to play better against the Ravens offense, if that makes sense. So that's why I feel that way. The reason I'm so confident the Chiefs are going to win this game is for a few factors here. And this is via ESPN. If we can get up ESPN. This is the Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson head-to-head. This is very telling here. And here's the reason why I think this is telling, because a lot of times it can be deceitful, and you'll be like, okay, yeah, but Patrick's always had the better team and things like that. That's not the case. As we recall, if you look at these numbers here, guys, this includes the postseason. What do we remember about their last matchup? They were playing where?
In Baltimore.
In Baltimore. In what game? The AFC Championship. Yeah. Who had the best record that year? Well, obviously the Ravens did. They had the number 1 seed. Lamar was the MVP. Yeah. They had the number 1 ranked defense in the NFL. And Patrick went in there and collected a W.
Per usual.
This is, what did we hear this season? Coming into this season, Trevor? Oh, the Ravens have the best roster in the NFL. I heard that so many times. Oh, Lamar Jackson's been playing better football than Patrick Mahomes. Statistically, they're right. So there are no excuses here. When it comes to their matchups, Patrick just simply owns that ass. He just owns the Ravens. That's just what it comes down to. And Andy Reid owns his former assistants, which is what John Harbaugh is. He owns his old assistants. Patrick Mahomes owns the Ravens, as you can clearly see by these statistics. Yep. And here's the biggest thing. And again, I do think, Trevor, in the grand scheme of things, this game will be close. It will probably be a one-possession game, which fits perfectly into the Chiefs' favor. Why do I say that? Let's look at this next stat about the Ravens being choke artists. If you look at this stat, this is from Get Up as well. Losses went up a touchdown in the second half. The Ravens have 16 since 2020. That is 7 more than any other team in the NFL.
That's wild, man.
And they already have 2 of those this season.
A lot of that has to fall at the feet of the quarterback, too.
And the head coach, I agree. Yes, quarterback and head coach for sure.
But we've seen several times Lamar just crumble under the pressure, man.
And Derrick Henry's been doing him no favors by fumbling the ball at 15 and then doing that to the Ravens when it's 21-20, or against the Lions 21-21.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, guys, if this game is close like we're expecting, that's actually a good thing for the Chiefs, because the Chiefs are the opposite of this. More times than not, Patrick Mahomes leads his team to victories. As you guys know, since last year, him and, ironically, in a weird way, him and Sam Darnold lead the league in game-winning drives. Isn't that crazy to say, Sam Darnold? Sam Darnold and Patrick Mahomes have 7 game-winning drives since last season. Most in the NFL. So this is another reason why I feel so comfortable. Any scenario that I'm looking at outside of the Ravens scoring 35 points, I feel great about this game, and I don't think the Ravens do score 35 points this game. In fact, I don't think they get close. But the biggest reason I feel comfortable about, or feel great about this game, Trevor, is Marlon Humphreys. Let's go ahead and play that video real quick from his podcast less than 24 hours after their loss to the Lions at home.
We are here at the Marlon Humphreys Show, and this is live, fresh off a Monday Night Football loss. You know, I feel like you always got to address the workplace just a tad bit. It was a rough evening at the office for myself and company. Things didn't go great. But, you know, the good news is there's always tomorrow, hopefully, for some people. Hopefully that's me and you, if you're listening to this.
Marlon Humphreys, more like Marlon Wayans. What the fuck did I just watch, dude? That's one of their best defensive players, by the way. Who's that? He can't read a room, apparently. That is right after the game. Like I said, the next day. You would think that maybe guys would just try to like lock in and focus on what's important, which is not recording a cheesy ass podcast like this with a towel on his head. That is scary. If I'm a Ravens fan right now, and I did see Ravens fans, by the way, quote tweeting this, they eviscerated him for this, rightfully so. Could you imagine, Trevor, Chiefs lose a home game in a standalone game like that? Your defense gives up, 490 yards of offense?
Yeah.
Gives up 38 points to a team that historically Jared Goff plays terrible outdoors, and that's what you put out there? Imagine, like, Chris Jones doing that. We'd be like, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you? What are you doing? Like, lock in. Stay off socials for a little bit. How about we focus on not being a shit defense for 5 minutes? This is what I'm talking about. This team right now is in disarray. This Ravens team, they don't have good vibes right now. And I'm a vibes guy. I'm a big vibes guy. I do not feel good about this team right now. I do think they'll figure it out. Crazy as it sounds, their division's ass right now. How many times can you say that about the AFC North?
As far as win-loss records.
Yeah, for sure. I think, like I said, the Ravens will rise to the top eventually.
The Bengals are already done. So
Yeah.
They're out of the picture.
Browns obviously don't have a good enough offense. They have a great defense. They just don't have a good enough
elite,
offense.
though, yeah.
Yeah, that could get them to 7 wins or something like that, but I don't think the Browns
With
are.
the Bengals out of the picture,
Yes.
basically. So, yeah.
The Steelers, I hate to say it like this because I have them as a 10-win team making the playoffs. I'm worried about Rodgers getting through the season. Their offensive line is horrendous, and their defense is fucking terrible. Their defense, for as expensive and as talented as they are bad.
Yeah, they blew their load week 1 against the Jets. For
Boy,
sure.
and they gave up 32 in that game. Like, you don't even think about it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, even their best game.
Characteristically bad. Yeah.
So, but here's the thing. I think the Ravens still win this division and everything like that, but I think it's almost going to be by a default. Because the rest of the division is so bad. I think they get... Dude, I'm not kidding when I say this. I think the Ravens can be like a 9-10 win team this year at best.
Yeah.
Like, for real. Like, they'll 1-3 this week, which I'm expecting. I think they still win the division, but it's going to be like one of those AFC South type titles where it's like, yeah, but everyone else fucking sucks, so is it that great? Like, it's going to be one of those years. I really believe that, man. And it's very disappointing if I'm a Ravens fan. But like I said, the results we're seeing on the field for the first 3 games and tone deaf leadership like this from their defense is just appalling. Like it's absolutely appalling and just baffling to me. And it's a great thing for the Chiefs, in my opinion, because I think the Chiefs have locked in.
We love bulletin board material.
Yes, the Chiefs have locked in my opinion. I think that, like, obviously they've had their struggles and frustrations, but I think that now they got one down. Like I compared it to on Tuesday, Trevor, on the 65 Toss Power Talk Show. I said it reminds me of like a Steph Curry, where they go through a little slump. And then he sees one go down from like way downtown, and he's like, "Oh, okay, I'm back." You know what I mean? Like that's what I needed. I just needed to see one go down, and here we go. You know what I mean? And we've heard Rich Eisen and guys like that, which, by the way, I think Rich Eisen needs to change his nickname to the Voice of Reason Rich, because he always seems to find the sound quality of nuance. Like other people have a struggle with that.
Yeah.
Rich is one of those few guys that actually understands nuance.
He knows how to zoom out, man.
And he said this week, he goes, I think they turned a corner in that game against the Giants, and I agree with him. I know it wasn't a perfect game, but seeing Tyquan Thornton's finger like this up in the air after he scored that touchdown, it feels like one of those things we're going to look back in 3 months ago. Remember that moment? Like that Sunday night football game when Tyquan put his hand up, it just felt like something clicked.
Well, according to Nick Wright, it was the tackle that Patrick Mahomes made that stole the ball back.
Yeah, I mean, that was such a heads-up play. That could have lost the Chiefs the game.
Yeah.
And that was the Pacheco play where he's running backwards. I still will never understand it. But I feel very, very good about this matchup, Trevor, because not only because the Chiefs historically have been so good and the Ravens are choke artists and things like that, but I do believe what Rich said is the truth. I do believe the Chiefs have turned that corner. Their season starts off very weird, a divisional game in Brazil on a Friday night, losing Xavier Worthy on their first pass attempt of the season. It was weird. And then the Eagles come in and Kelsey drops a ball that would have won them the game. And then, week 3 against a bad Giants team and your offense comes out like shit. And then that second half comes out and you clicked. I think the Chiefs finally understand, like, this is every game they play is theirs to lose, in my opinion. Every time they go out there, it is their game to lose. And I think they finally realized just who the fuck they are, because I think they were a team, and I talked to Harvey Williams about it on Tuesday's show, and he agreed with me on this, that I feel like the Chiefs are a team that coming into the season, they really felt for the first time ever that pressure. They looked like a team that finally felt the weight of pressure, because before, man, we've seen this team, no matter what was going on, dude, they just figured it out. They just figured out ways to win. They just went out there and got the job done. It wasn't sexy. It wasn't fun all the time, but you just felt like they just knew. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to get back.
I just want to see the Chiefs win a game like Josh Allen wins games. Let his running backs do all the work, and then maybe make a play or two here and there, and let this defense just do their job. You know what I mean? Like, that's... I love that. I love how you said that. I just want to see a win like that. So Patrick Mahomes can finally start getting some recognition as maybe the best to do it.
Yeah, maybe in the next game, Collinsworth calls for the Chiefs, like Pacheco or somebody in the backfield, for Christ's sake, gets like a 65-yard touchdown, and Collinsworth can go, "That's all Patrick right there."
Yeah, man.
You're looking at a guy that ran that telekinesis style for his running back. He got in his head.
If we get two to three rushing touchdowns this game, maybe Patrick Mahomes will start getting some spotlight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, maybe if that's how it works. Yeah, the Chiefs score like 4 offensive touchdowns, are all running back plays, and the defense holds the Ravens to 3 points. Then Patrick might get some credit.
Yeah.
You know,
he might be in the MVP race, guys. Lord willing. That could possibly happen.
Holy shit, that's good, dude.
Yeah.
So yeah, I want to get to the key players. Sure, we need to get to the people and speak it real quick, but I want to get your key players sure of this game. It doesn't have to be both or offensive and defense. It can be either one. Don't matter. Let me know who you got in this for a factor for the Chiefs.
Man, defensively, this has got to be a game where we take advantage of Lamar's left tackle situation. Really, I think blitz on that side a lot, but contain on the other side. I think we need to blitz the hell out of Lamar in this game.
Yeah.
Dude. I really, really do. And I think that comes with George Karlaftis, like Harold was talking about, earning that contract. I mean, I know he's already earned it, but that fulfilling the duties of what this contract incentivizes. And that's doing your job, man, and collecting sacks. And this has got to be a week where George Karlaftis continues to do what we all have loved about him and his motor. Just never giving up on plays, showing these young bucks how it's done. He is now a veteran in this league. He's paid like one. I want to see George Karlaftis go out there and just have a game. And I think this is a great opportunity for him to do that and feast, because he's got the speed and the abilities to keep up with the lateral movements of Lamar Jackson and containing him. We've seen it in the past. So I'm hoping this is a game where he can do that. So I'm going George Karlaftis on the defensive side. Offensive side, I'm going Hollywood Brown revenge game here. This is a team that drafted and brought him into this league and then gave up on him. Granted, he was injured a lot with the Ravens, but had big moments with them for a little while there for a couple seasons, but he just couldn't stay healthy enough, and so they eventually parted ways. This is a moment for Hollywood Brown. He hasn't done too much outside of week 1, numbers-wise. And he didn't do much last week. It was more, kind of spreading the ball around and whatever. So he hasn't really had that moment of shining in this offense, in my personal opinion. This is a great opportunity for him because I do think his speed is going to be a challenge alongside having Xavier Worthy in the mix now, depending how much he actually plays. I think he'll probably play 60, 70, maybe % of the snaps. I don't think he plays the whole game or as far as the snap count goes. But this is a moment for Hollywood Brown to kind of reestablish himself and what we need him to be in this offense. You know what I mean? So I'm expecting a big game from Hollywood Brown. I'm expecting 6-7 catches for 50 to 80 yards, maybe a score. We need that from him. We need somebody to step up in this passing game. I don't want to have to depend on Juju to make big chunk plays. Granted, I know those will come every once in a while. But Hollywood was brought to be here to be that guy, to be a key contributor in this offense, in this passing game. And I know he can be that. This has got to be the week he does it because this is a big game. So I'm dependent on him to have that revenge game.
Like it. I'm gonna keep the traditional sense and have a defensive and offensive player in this one. The pass rush has to be really good in this one, but I also think that because Lamar's been throwing the ball a lot more, we're going to see the ball in Lamar's hands a lot in this game. And I think he's going to try to throw the ball a lot, but I think that there's going to be a little bit of a throwback vibe to Lamar in this one, because I'm not saying they've lost confidence in Derrick Henry, but I think they're going to try to limit how much they put on him in this matchup. And because I think that we know that fumbling doesn't mean that you're not the same player you once were, but I think that there's a certain level of fatigue that happens, that your arms aren't as tight to the ball, or you're not focusing as much because your brain's a little foggy, and all of a sudden the ball gets swiped out. I think they're going to try to keep Derrick Henry a little bit more fresh for the end of the game, because I think this is going to be a close game, and they're going to want to get him situated. I think they're going to go
Nick
fourth
Bolton
downs.
always matches up well against Derrick Henry, bro.
And I think that fourth downs is going to be it's going to be 4 down territories for the Ravens a lot in this game. They're going to go for it a lot. They're not going to let the Chiefs. They're going to try to do the same thing the Chiefs, I think, they are going to try to do with the Ravens and keep the ball away. Yeah. Which is why I think a guy like Leo Chanel is going to be such a pivotal character in this game. He's going to be the one that I think is going to be stalking Lamar in this game, because he's the one athletic linebacker on this defense that I think can hang with Lamar. And I say that very loosely because Lamar's a freak, and we all know that he's just a one-of-one type of quarterback. But I think he's going to be the guy on third and shorts and fourth and shorts that's going to be watching Lamar's body and making sure that ball, if it's in his hands, he doesn't get progressive yards. So the Leo's the one I'm going to be watching very, very intently on this one, because I think that the Ravens are going to try to utilize Lamar's legs more in this game they have in other weeks before. I think he's only running the ball like 4 times a game. That's super low compared to what he's done in the past. But yeah, I think that Lamar's going to try to run the ball a little bit in this one.
Plays.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be under pressure. I think we're going to bring a lot of blitzes in this game.
Yeah.
And I think whoever controls the clock in the game the most, I think, wins this game.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I also think the team that has the fewer penalties is going to be the one that wins this game, which is why it segues to my next guy. He's on thin ice, dude.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about Jawaan Taylor. Jawaan Taylor, if he plays a clean game in this one, the Chiefs can score 30. The problem with Jawaan is he's had so many costly penalties on plays that are either score touchdowns or get the Chiefs way downfield and gets them a little bit in rhythm, and he negates all of that. I understand the NFL picks on Jawaan, and I will stand by that. But with that, there needs to come an adjustment from Jawaan. I didn't even know this, and I feel like an idiot, but I was listening to Jeff Schwartz this week talk about, I don't know if you knew this either, Trevor. You know that tackles can do the same thing wide receivers do, and they can point to the line judge and make sure they're on line? Yeah, they can actually look. Am I good? They can check with the line judge. Why in the hell has Jawaan Taylor not been doing that? Is it a pride thing? Because pride's going to get your ass benched if you keep this shit up.
You see some more of that in Philly.
I've been a Jawaan. Yeah, no shit. Well, they don't have to worry about it. The league just lets them do whatever the fuck they want. But I've been a Jawaan defender this whole time because I think he's a good player. I think Jawaan Taylor's a good football player.
He's an incredible athlete, dude.
And Andy Reid was right. If you take away these stupid alignment penalties, his blocking's been awesome. He's a good blocker. He got that one where he got knocked down.
It's the pre-snap shit.
Yes, he got knocked down in that play against the Giants. But I'm not going to hold that. Yes, yes, he got punked. Yeah. That happens, dude. Even to the best of them. I'm not going to hold that one against him. Okay, look bad, but come on. There's 60 other plays he looked good. Okay.
Yeah.
My point is, we cannot see Juwan Taylor on a 25-yard throw to Tyquan Thornton or Xavier Worthy, whoever the fuck it goes to, have a holding penalty or have an alignment issue. Like, dude, that shit cannot happen this week. Check with the line judge. Make sure you're Gucci. Don't jump the fucking snap. Don't pull a dude by his jersey. Have a clean game. If he does that against, and he has a golden opportunity in this one, dude, because 𝚂𝙺𝙸𝚂𝙾 not playing. It looks like Kyle Van Noy probably won't be playing. Travis Jones probably isn't playing. Like, they got their majority of their best pass rushers, and they're not even that good to begin with. Kyle Van Noy's good. 𝚂𝙺𝙸𝙀's fine. Like, not having those guys, there's no excuse. Juwan Taylor needs to have a clean game. Patrick Mahomes better have a clean jersey, unless he's sliding for first downs.
Yeah.
Other than that, Juwan Taylor's got to be an X factor in this one. I think if he is, the Chiefs very much win this game. I'm very confident they do. And those are my factors.
Arrowhead's going to be lit, man. It's going to be fucking lit.
Do you have a score prediction?
I'm going to say Chiefs score 27. I think the Chiefs put up some points here. I think this is a great opportunity to keep rolling. I think the fact that the deep ball is back, it is 100% back, because last I checked, maybe we had a game Thursday, but last I checked, Pat's leading the league in passing completions 30+ yards already.
Yes.
And that's insane, because it doesn't even feel like that yet.
Right.
So wait till we get our actual star receivers back.
Hello.
You know, we have Xavier Worthy. So if we got Xavier Worthy on one side and you got, Tyquan Thornton on the other, stretching the field, what are those DBs going to do? You know what I mean? They ain't going to play, they're not going to bracket both of them. They're not going to probably have safety help for both of them. If they do, that leaves Hollywood Brown to eat over the middle, leaves Kelsey to eat over the middle. So I think we're going to put up some points, man. But I know typically that we don't go too hard if we don't feel like we have to score points. But I think this is a statement game for both teams. I think both these teams have something to prove here. Same record. You know what I mean? So I think Arrowhead's going to be lit, and I think the Chiefs put up at least 27 points here. I think Bucker does his job, doesn't miss any damn kicks this week. That'd be great to see. But I'm going to say 27-23.
I like that. That's eerily similar to what I've been kind of assuming is going to happen in this one. Now, for me, my prediction really rides on Ronnie Stanley's availability. I think if Ronnie Stanley plays, this game is going to be uncomfortably close, because we're going to see Lamar get time in the pocket. And, I'm checking as you're talking, dude. I'm checking, and everything just keeps saying that he's questionable. He's questionable.
I mean, he's definitely not going to be at full go,
right?
Full 100%.
And that's kind of where I'm at right now, man. Like, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't like the body language and the tonality of John Harbaugh's voice when he was talking about Ronnie Stanley at practice. He goes, "We'll see. He's on a day-to-day type thing." Like, I didn't like that. I'll give you guys two different scenarios. If Ronnie Stanley doesn't play, I think the Chiefs win this game 27-20. I don't think that the Ravens will be able to manufacture enough offense against this good Chiefs defense at home in an afternoon Chiefs game when everyone's been getting liquored up and this crowd's going to be ruckus. I don't think they're going to be able to score enough points to beat the Chiefs. If Ronnie Stanley does play and he's the effective left tackle we know him to be, this game's going to be a lot closer, but I think the Chiefs, like I said, their game plan changes just a little bit. And I think they're going to try to speed the game up by holding on to the ball. But here's my prediction. I think that there's a chance that Patrick Mahomes has 4 touchdowns in this game.
I agree. I think Pat could go off in this
game. I think and I'm not saying he'll throw 4 touchdowns. I'm saying I can see him where he has 3 touchdowns in the air and 1 rushing touchdown. Yeah. I think,
dude, and Pat likes to run on these games when he's playing Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. He likes to run in those games because it's like, oh yeah, I can do it too.
Yes.
Vibe.
Yes. Yeah, I think that Patrick also wants to make a statement in the fact that we know, like you've been talking about how he can finally get in the MVP conversation. He can finally get some respect.
This would be a big
chance. If they beat the Ravens and Patrick Mahomes has 3 or 4 touchdowns, the media is going to have no choice but to talk about it. Yeah. And if he outplays Lamar, like I expect him to, then there's gonna be no excuses from the national media to give him his flowers. And so I think the Chiefs win this game. If I'm gonna just put a stamp on it, and it's almost exact same score as you, I think it'd be 28-23. And the foundation of why I have that way it is, I think because I think the Ravens are gonna be risk takers in this game because they have to have this game. Yeah. It's one of those big games for them too. I think what happens is the Chiefs have a comfortable lead in the 4th. And then the Ravens are trying to get back into it. And like I talk about with them when it's pressing, they score a touchdown, get it, it's like 28-17. They score a touchdown, it's 28-23, and they try to go for it to get it within 3. And they miss the 2-point conversion. They try to convert the 2-point, they don't get it. And then the Chiefs are taking knees at the end of the game, 28-23. That's the way I see this game going. That's my official. If Ronnie Stanley does play, I think that they can get an extra 3 points if he plays. I think he's worth that. But either way, in either scenario, I see this playing. I think the Chiefs are the better team. I think they're the healthier team, and I think they're now they're getting.
And we're in Arrowhead.
Yeah, exactly. That's a big thing.
It's the biggest competitive edge any stadium has in the NFL.
Right.
Outside of maybe Lambeau, those teams like that have great advantages at home. And Vikings are a great home field too, but
Yep.
Arrowhead is just different. Everybody knows that, and that's a massive advantage. So
give us your give us your predictions for this game. Give us your key players, everything you guys got for us in this game, because it's the perfect time to do so. Because it is time for speaking. Trevor, what are the people saying?
All right, man. We got several questions in here. Earlier in the show, we had a comment from our guy Nicholas Poland on X. It says the Ravens' run D is horrendous. If the Chiefs were ever to have a week where the run game looks good, this is right here. This is it right here. And I couldn't agree more, man. Like that, I felt that way similarly about the Giants last week too. I thought that was a good game for us to run the ball. We did run the ball well, and we were actually like leaning into the running game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But this is even a better opportunity because this rush defense is even worse, and this defensive line is not nearly as talented, in my opinion, or at least not as healthy as that Giants defensive line was and is.
Hey, can I say something real quick? Look, I don't try to get too ahead of things. I know that this is a game by game type of league and sport. Dude, if you look at the majority of the remainder of the Chiefs' schedule, they have maybe 2, maybe 3 good defenses left. Think about it. So you have the Ravens, who are a banged up bunch. Then it's the Jaguars.
Yeah.
The Lions at Arrowhead, who just give up 30 points to the Ravens, which I know is good offense, but the Lions defense isn't like some immaculate defense. They have Aiden Hutchinson and a couple guys.
Well, before you go through the rest
go
of
ahead.
the schedule, that leads into the next question.
Go ahead.
Maldonado. If the Chiefs lose tomorrow, Lance, would you take a record of 4-1 in the next upcoming games, being the one loss to Buffalo, obviously, but would you take that heading into the bye week in week 10? So just as you were going down the schedule, how you felt about the win-loss or the talented defenses we'd be facing.
This is the biggest reason why I'm not worried about this.
I feel good about the Bills game, but
you and me both. We'll get to that when that time comes for sure. But this is why you guys, if you guys have noticed, Mike, and Trevor as well, our tonality has not changed one bit on this team, even with the record being the way it is, because I look at the rest of the schedule.
Yeah.
Now, it's not an easy schedule by any means, but every one of these games I'm naming down this list are all very winnable games because the majority of the Chiefs' toughest opponents outside of the Bills are at home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's and I mean, their first game against the Broncos is at Arrowhead. Oh no, it's at Denver. Doesn't matter. It's after a bye week anyway. But the point is,
we're beating Bo Nix.
You're looking at like I said, Jaguars, Lions, Raiders, Commanders, Bills. The Broncos defense is talented, but it's been very beatable this year. They've been very beatable this year. The Colts, I'm not the biggest believer in the Colts. I think they're going to come down to earth eventually, and that's 9 weeks away. So I definitely think the Chiefs are going to face a much different Colts team than what they are right this second. That's just my opinion. Yeah. Then you go to Dallas. That might be the worst defense in football, at least the worst secondary in football. You have the Texans. That team is horrible. I know they have an awesome front seven. Their front seven's awesome. They have Derek Stingley.
It's not a good team.
They're not playing good football. Yeah, so where are they going to be at that point?
Yeah.
So I'm just looking at the rest of the schedule. I'm thinking, man, you have the Titans still on the schedule. You can get a revenge factor against the Chargers. Broncos again. Raiders again. Like, that's not a list of awesome defenses. The Chiefs have faced the majority of their toughest defenses already. So there's going to be a reeling effect where I think in 7-8 weeks, we're looking at this team, and I think they go 6-1. 7-0 maybe in that stretch. I really believe that because I know what this team can be and what I think they're going to continue to be as they get their weapons back, as their defense gets healthier, when they get Mike Dana back. I think they add a piece because I know our guy Harold KUNTZ said that it's going to really depend on how it looks when Rashid gets back. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I think even when Rashid gets back, it's still going to be like, you know what? They don't have enough on the running game. They're going to need to add a piece, and I think that's what they're going to do. I understand they have veterans in Elijah Mitchell and Kareem Hunt, but here's the thing. You add an Alvin Kamara, he's not getting in the way of Kareem Hunt. He's getting in the way of Isaiah Pacheco. That's what I look at. I think that Kareem Hunt, no matter what they do in the run game this year, he's safe. I think Kareem Hunt's still getting snaps because he's a net positive for this offense.
He was the starting running back last week.
Right, and I think that needs to continue. That needs to continue.
Yeah.
Because you need a light of fire into Pacheco's ass, and if he does not become the player we know him to be, which I expect to continue, unfortunately, then you need to go make a move. And I think that's what the Chiefs are going to do. And I think you're going to see more of a difference maker out of the backfield for the Chiefs. And that's what they need. So, yeah, man, I feel very confident moving forward with this Chiefs team when it comes to looking at the schedule and how many beatable defenses they have.
Yeah. Yeah, it starts this week, man. We got to make a statement this week, though. Dustin Orton, speak it. Who has a bigger impact this game, Thornton or Worthy?
I think just naturally it's going to be Worthy, just because I think he's just the better player, and I do agree that they'll probably limit his snaps to a degree. But let's remember something, guys. His injury wasn't a leg injury, where it kept him from running and he got out of shape. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't something that is going to keep him from being the player he is. I think what this does, the Chiefs have to be a little more creative in how they utilize him, because I don't think they're going to have him run up the middle on a dig route or a slant pattern. Like, I don't think they're going to do that. I think what they'll do is have him do end arounds, like little jet sweeps where he gets him on the outside and he'll run out of bounds if he sees the pressure coming, or some fly go routes, things like that, down the seams, stuff like that, where at worst he gets tackled from behind, where he's not getting blown up by a shoulder check or something like that from a safety. I don't think that's where they're going to utilize him. I think they're going to utilize him in space, as they should, with his speed already. So I'm fully confident that Xavier Worthy is going to make impact in this game. And that's no knock on Tyquan. Tyquan's been awesome. He's done his job. But Tyquan also fits the bill of what Xavier Worthy does. And when Xavier Worthy's on the field, he's going to take that from Tyquan, and Tyquan goes down a peg.
Yeah, I agree. Dustin Orton, speak it. I know we want Kamara. Has there been any real talks that can come to light?
Oh, I don't think so yet. I don't think the Chiefs are having actual conversations yet with the Saints or the Jets or the Dolphins or anybody. I don't think that's happening yet, because I think Harold is right. I think because the fact that the trade deadline isn't for another 5 weeks, I believe, they got time to really evaluate this situation. Because for all we know, maybe the Chiefs do catch a little bit of a stride, and there is a resurgence in Isaiah Pacheco, and he starts to click. There is that chance. Do I think it's a big chance? No, I don't. I don't think that Isaiah Pacheco is any longer the player we thought he was or once was. I think they got the most out of him, and he is what he is now. That's how it works in this league sometimes, man. When you're a 7th-round player, you don't have the talent of a Saquon Barkley. You don't have the talent of guys that are much bigger, better players. So I do think that eventually in the next 2 to 3 weeks, we're going to see the Chiefs. You're going to start hearing rumors about them, reaching out to this team or that team. And I hope that team is the New Orleans Saints. I think that Alvin Kamara is the best, most feasible, most realistic acquisition for the Chiefs when it comes to making an actual difference for this offense. Could they go and get a Jerome Ford? Sure. Does he make a difference? You might as well just keep Elijah Mitchell at that point. Like, there's no real difference between a guy like that and Elijah Mitchell, in my opinion.
I don't give Rashard Smith a chance.
Yeah, I don't think you trade for a guy like a Jerome
far
Ford.
Better talent than Jerome.
You don't trade. And here's the other problem: the teams that are deep at running back, if you notice, there's a trend there. They're good teams. They're not trading their players. Like, it would make no sense for the Bucs to trade Rachaad White. It would make no sense for the Seahawks to trade Charbonnet. Like, those teams are not moving those guys.
Yeah.
So you're not getting one of those dudes. So you got to look at where. Bad teams with good running backs on expiring contracts that are a little bit older. I know everyone wants Devon Achane. Everyone wants Breece Hall. Guys, with that comes a contract extension. Are you guys going to pay Breece Hall $15 million a year? Because I'm not. Are you guys going to pay Devon Achane $15 million? I'm not.
No.
If you got him with 2 years left on his rookie deal, do it. In a heartbeat. I'd give up an early pick I'd give up a 2nd-round pick for Devon Achane if he had 2 years left on his rookie deal. He doesn't. And so that's why I'm not making those trades. I know that with age and all that stuff, it sounds more exciting to get a guy like that, but it's not realistic because the Chiefs aren't paying one of those guys. So that's why you get a Alvin Kamara as a 1-year rental, and then next year, hopefully, for Christ's sake, the Chiefs take the running back position a little more seriously and draft earlier in the draft and get a guy that can be a difference maker for the next 4 or 5 years.
Doubt it. Brian Simcox in the chat.
What's up, Brit Chief?
Shout out, Brit Chief. He said, here's a question. What's the identity of the Chiefs team today? It's a good question.
I think it's a good question. I think that, though, it's one of those things like
forever evolving identity.
Yeah. So, like, okay, look at it like in this sense. We know when you think of certain like pitchers in baseball, you know what like their pitch is, right? Like Randy Johnson. What do you think of, Trev?
The fastball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you hear Tim Wakefield, what do you think of?
Change-up or the
knuckleball.
Yeah.
Everyone has their go-to. We know what the Chiefs' go-to is. It's the Mahomes magic, the broken down play, the incredible highlight reel stuff. But that doesn't always mean it's there. It doesn't always mean that you're able to access that. And I think that's why we have to ask that question. That's why I think it's a fair question, but I think the answer is already there. I think that we know what the answer is and what's changed the trajectory of this franchise. The ability that Patrick has to make big plays that we've never seen another quarterback in the history of this league make at the level that he does it, on a consistent level that he does it. But he's still got to have the guys. And I think once you see that happen again, that question no longer is asked because we know the answer has always been there. It's just that we've not been able to access it. It's like if Tim Wakefield was to get a really bad blister on his middle finger and can no longer push the ball that makes the knuckle do what it does. We all know what Tim still is, but he can't access it like he has when he has that availability with his finger. Or when Randy Johnson say he broke his finger. He ain't throwing that two seam like he used to. He ain't throwing that slider like he used to because he doesn't have the access. It's not there right there. But once the health and the ability to get that strength back in that hand happens, all of a sudden, oh shit, it's been there all along. He just wasn't able to access it. That's what I think is happening with the Chiefs. And once that happens, you're going to see this offense get back to at least something, to a semblance of what it once was. And that's what should excite Chiefs fans, because that's all they really need to get to another Super Bowl, is just have a semblance of what we know this offense can be. And once they are, I think they're right back to where they've been.
Yeah, I mean, a big part of having the identity of what we know we are is just having the proper pieces in place
100%.
to accumulate the identity that we know we are. Julia Gulia, did y'all hear Andy Heck's response to Juwan Taylor's penalties?
Yeah, I did. I don't remember exactly how he said things, but I know that the team, and I know it's frustrating fans because everybody wants accountability and they want Juwan on a plank. But here's the issue that the Chiefs coaching staff is up against, guys. They're not excited of the idea of putting a man who's the second highest paid player on their team on the bench. I know everyone just thinks that, you know what Jalen Moore's become, Trevor? He's become the backup quarterback to a team that doesn't have a good quarterback. He's become that popular guy, and I like Jalen Moore.
Yeah.
But let's be real. There's a reason why Juwan Taylor's starting over him, because Juwan Taylor's better than him.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with the quarterback situation. Like, everybody loved the backup quarterback on a bad quarterback team, but there's a reason that guy's the backup, because more times than not, he's not as good as the guy that's already out there.
I remember hearing before the season started that Jalen Moore was going to take, Kingsley's job.
Yeah, how's that going?
Kingsley's playing pretty well.
Kingsley's playing good fucking football. So that's my point. It's like Jalen Moore is where he's at for a reason, just like Juwan Taylor is for a reason. And a lot of it, I do believe, like, if Juwan Taylor wasn't making the money he's making, I think there is a chance that maybe they make a move. But because he's making that money, and because of the fact that he is a proven commodity in this league, we know, like, we have a belief of what Jalen Moore could be, but we don't know. Yeah. We have no idea. But we do know that Juwan Taylor has helped this team win a Super Bowl. We do know this guy's helped them get to multiple Super Bowls. We have to give him that credit. So I think Andy Heck and the coaching staff have been standing up for Juwan Taylor for valiant reasons, and I think accurate reasons. He is a legitimate right tackle. There's just some things he needs to work on, because for all we know, if they were to sit him and Jalen Moore comes in, what if he's just giving up pressures left and right? We don't know. So I think the Chiefs like going with what they know as opposed to what could be.
For sure. Noah John Marshall, speak it. Did Veach get caught up in the Super Bowl dynasty fever when signing Trey, Creed, Bolton? Are we going to regret these deals? Our most expensive players are not balling out.
Well, I mean, I'll ask you this: what contract is a bad contract? And you guys knew that I was not somebody that wanted to sign Nick Bolton, but if you look at his deal, the guaranteed money is over after year 2, which is next season. So you can get out of Nick Bolton's contract as soon as after 2026, and he's 24, 25 years old. George Karlaftis, he's only making on an annual basis $18 million a year. That is a steal. He's even playing good football this year? No. But do we all honestly expect George Karlaftis to play like to this level all season long? No. I'm expecting George Karlaftis to play much better football because he's done it time and time again. He earned that contract.
I'm not sure what Trey and Creed have been doing.
They've been nothing but awesome.
They've been just doing what they normally do.
Did you guys not see what they just did to Sexy Dexy? That man did nothing in that game. Why? Because he went against Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith. They were pancaking that dude. They were throwing him around. When was the last time we saw Dexter Lawrence get owned all game? That doesn't happen.
You didn't hear his name once.
Not one time. He didn't do a damn thing because of Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith.
Kingsley too, man. Kingsley played well.
We can converse about the whole, George Karlaftis contract or the Nick Bolton contract. I'll hear you out on that. We'll have that talk. I'm not hearing it about Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith. Those dudes have been nothing but nails. They've done nothing but play good football.
Nick Bolton had a batted ball last week too, and he could have a really good game this week with the challenge that he usually plays pretty well against Derrick Henry. So games like this, I think coming up is why we have Nick Bolton on this team.
Sure.
So these are the kind of matchups that he thrives in. So we'll see. Julia Gulia, after 3 games, is there an obvious disconnect with Kelsey and Mahomes when they've practically had a psychic connection their entire career? Why?
Yeah, so I think this is where, when I talked about how Derrick Henry, it isn't, I think, because of his decline that he's fumbling the ball. I just think there's a certain level of fatigue. I think this is actually the sign of decline. I think they still are on the same page, but I don't think that Travis Kelce's body is doing what his mind wants it to do anymore. And I think that he's also got a lot going on in his life, and I think that there's probably some things weighing on him. I think if we're being honest here, let's have a real honest conversation here. I think we all know this is Travis's last season. And I think Travis knows that. And so there's a pressure on Travis of, I have to play perfect football because I want to go out the right way. That's why he came back this season. I think if the Chiefs won the Super Bowl last year, he retires. I really believe that.
Yeah.
I think that he's like, the three-peat. I have the most famous woman in the world as my girl. Now we're engaged.
Yeah.
My life is so set. I'm in Happy Gilmore 2. Me and my brother we're gonna have this long, illustrious career in the media. I got so much ahead of me, and I just won my 3rd straight Super Bowl. I am the GOAT. Like, he would retire. But because of the way it ended, I know he'll never say this, but I genuinely believe that. I think that Travis looked at that and said, okay, I have to come back because I don't want to end like that. I don't want to end on a 18-point Super Bowl loss. And I had a horrific game. Travis was terrible in that game.
Yeah.
So I think he came back, and I think the pressure now is we're not starting the season off the way we wanted to. I hurt Xavier Worthy. You know what I mean? Like, he feels responsible for the offense clunking in more ways than one because he's dropping touchdowns in close games. He hurts Xavier Worthy. Rashee Rice hasn't played yet. There's a lot of frustration, I think, that's building on him right now. But I think the clouds are going to part, and you're going to see Patrick and him get back to somewhat of that. It's never going to be what it once was, guys, because Travis Kelce was the most unguardable player in this league. In his prime, I would go as far as to say that Travis Kelce in his prime was one of the 5 best receiving options in the history of the NFL. I genuinely believe that. Because you can't teach 6'5", 260 pounds that can move their hips like that can move their feet like that. Travis Kelce was the most unguardable player in the league at his time. And I don't think that you can ever replicate that. So I think in a weird way, I think that Patrick got a little spoiled with having that just at his expenditure whenever he wanted it. Whenever he wanted a Travis Kelce big play on 3rd down, he had it. That's no longer there. Travis is still a good player, but to his own standard, he's no longer the player he once was. And I think that's why you're starting to see some of these miscalculations and misreads because Patrick is assuming that Travis will make that double hip move and he'll be there. And even when he is, his hands aren't there. So you're seeing the regression, and it's sad to see, but we all knew it was coming eventually. And but I think the goat-to-goat connection, more times than not, even this season, will make some big plays.
Chiefs fan in Colorado, do you think Mecole Hardman could be signed to the practice squad? And if so, what is the benefit?
Yes, I definitely see that happening. I mean, as soon as I saw the news from the Packers, I quote tweeted and said, "Welcome back." There's no reason to think that he won't be back with his team at some capacity. And the benefit is he's a guy that knows the offense. He's helped this team win multiple Super Bowls. And like, our guy Harold KUNTZ said, the Chiefs like having their guys around that they brought in. They drafted. Well, Mecole was a 2nd-round pick on this team back in 2019. And for better or worse, he's played a role for this team in winning Super Bowls. He's made big plays. He's been a frustrating player at times as well. But I think that it doesn't hurt this team at all to have that type of guy who's still fairly young. I think he's only 27 on the roster at some, like I said, at some capacity. More than likely he stays on the practice squad. But here, let me ask you guys a question. If, let's say, Nico Remigio goes down with an injury, who would you rather have returning kicks than Mecole Hardman, who's made humongous impact plays in special teams throughout his career?
Maybe Bashard Smith, but outside of that, yeah.
Yeah, but who's a more proven commodity? You know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
Mecole's clearly the more proven commodity, especially in playoff games. So I would say that I would flip that question and say, what's not the benefit? It's not like he's going to come here and become your wide receiver 2. We know that's not happening. So he would just be a guy that spot fills, and that's only a positive in my opinion.
Yeah, familiarity is an important thing too. Noah John Marshall, speak it. For all the worry and underachieving, how awesome is Simmons? Veach solved our biggest need the last 2 years with with one pick. Best left tackle in KC since Brandon Albert. Such a wonderful development.
I definitely agree that Josh Simmons has been, and I viewed him as a 2026 player because I didn't think he was going to heal so fast.
Right.
He's a freak of nature.
Pleasant surprise.
Dude, I mean, I've talked to doctors personally about his injury, and they're like, dude.
Patellar tendon, bro.
I talked to a doctor who's been in the game for 30-plus years. He said he's done probably 6,000 knee surgeries in his life.
See, not only the refs in the league favor the Chiefs,
The doctors.
science.
Yeah, and science. Yeah, the Mother Nature.
We got
Thank you.
everybody on our side.
Dude, this doctor told me, he goes, I've never seen someone heal that fast. It is an anomaly. So he blows my mind already.
God.
Yeah, right. I mean, whoever's done this for us, we appreciate you so much because, and not only did he heal, but he looks like he's just as good as he was before. So like
chasing down people making tackles.
I mean, running 19 miles an hour with full pads on and helmet and
He's
shit.
a freak athlete, bro.
Dude. So yeah, I love this pick more than I ever have.
Yeah.
And it looks like the Chiefs got themselves a decade-long tackle, and that's great to hear. So
This could come down as one of the most important draft picks in Patrick Mahomes' era.
like we talked about, Trevor, about how I said I think this 2025 draft class could rival that 2022 draft class, and like you said, even if just Josh Simmons hits, it rivals that class. So I agree with you.
No doubt, bro. That just shows you how important that position is. James T. Kirk. I have only 2 questions. What do you tell Brett Veach's critics? So many Chiefs fans want him fired. I think it's ludicrous, but what do y'all feel about Brett Veach's accomplishments?
Well, this is it's kind of the same conversation I had before earlier today when it came to the Matt Nagy stuff. I feel that people focus so much on what is missed as opposed to what is hit, because Brett Veach is such an interesting case study because he was the guy that before he ever became Chiefs GM that saved the Chiefs.
Right.
He's the one that brought Patrick Mahomes to the forefront and brought him to Andy Reid and John Dorsey, and that is why Patrick Mahomes is here. And I'm glad this is brought up because I have the stat right here, Trevor. I tweeted this out, and this is just verbatim right here. Where the Chiefs have drafted since 2018. They traded the pick to Buffalo for Patrick Mahomes in 2018. 2019, they traded their pick for Frank Clark to Seattle. 2020, he finally has a first-round pick, and it was the 32nd overall pick. 2021, they traded that pick to Baltimore for Orlando Brown Jr. And in 2022, he finally has another pick, but he trades because he had 12 picks, trades into the first round again, and he only gets, what's that guy's name? Trent McDuffie and George Karlaftis. He finally has 2 picks in the first round, his earliest ever, and he gets one of the greatest cornerbacks in the league. 2023 has the 31st overall pick. 2024, 28th overall pick. And 2025, the 32nd overall pick. And landed Josh Simmons. 8 seasons, 6 first-round picks. None of those picks were before in the top 20. And the earliest pick, like I said, was Trent McDuffie. The Chiefs have experienced unprecedented success in this span, which is obviously ideal. But with said unprecedented success comes the challenge of picking late in the first round on an annual basis. Brett Veach has had to be creative and efficient with those late round picks, and landing McDuffie, Karlaftis, Xavier Worthy, and Josh Simmons with the 21st, 30th, 28th, and 32nd overall picks, while trading for veterans like Frank Clark and Orlando Brown Jr., who played pivotal roles in the Chiefs building and continuing this dynasty by trading the 29th and 31st overall pick, is about as good of a job as any GM can do. So if you're asking me what this guy is and what I think of him, I think he's done a damn good job. And that goes without saying. Because I don't believe John Dorsey could have done that. I don't think that John Dorsey would have done that. I think John Dorsey would have leaned into the veterans, paid them an extensive, insane amount of money, and the Chiefs would be in cap hell right now. Would they still be good? Yeah, probably. Because John Dorsey does know talent. But there's a reason why John Dorsey is no longer GM in this league. And there's a reason that Brett Veach is the GM of the best team in the league. Because he knows how to evaluate talent and find ways to stay cheap. And he's done that time and time and time again. Has he missed?
He's a businessman.
Yeah. Has he missed
Dorsey
on guys?
wasn't a businessman. He's a scout.
Yeah, exactly. Was Sky Moore a bad pick? Yep. Was Breland Speaks a bad pick? God, yes. But if we're gonna do that, let's do the same thing we did with Matt Nagy. Let's go down the list of all the guys that Brett Veach has found late in the drafts, time and time again. They're impact players.
Again, though, this happens on every team. We're just Chiefs fans, and these are low IQ Chiefs fans that want Brett Veach gone. We just came off our 3rd straight Super Bowl trip, guys.
Yeah.
Imagine any other team, maybe outside of Philly, that got Brett Veach to be their GM. They'd be losing their minds.
Right.
Like, this is the guy that has been the head in the forefront of the Mahomes era. Any other team would be extremely grateful. Here we are bitching about it. It's hilarious, bro.
Yeah.
Every team misses draft picks.
Yes.
Every year.
Yeah.
Every year. What do you guys expect? What do you guys want? Like, it's such an unrealistic, low IQ mindset. We're just,
Trevor, he has to hit every pick.
We have to be stimulated all the time. We have to, oh, he nailed this draw. We got another superstar. Oh my God. Every draft. That doesn't happen, guys. It just doesn't happen, bro. Especially when we're as successful as we are because he's so great at his job. He keeps us winning record or have a great record every season, going to Super Bowls every season, hosting playoff games every season. We're not going to have the best draft picks to go get the top-notch talent every year. So, of course, the shitty teams, the Browns, can keep getting a lot of superstar talent they're eventually going to trade away because they don't know how to use them right. Cool. Would you want to be a Browns fan? Go be a Browns fan. You're going to get a lot of cool draft picks over there. But here we are, man. We're trying to work on our 4th straight Super Bowl trip, and y'all are bitching. It's hilarious. I don't get it. James C. Kirk with the last question. Last question. I like first things first, but Kevin Wildes is annoying with him always assuming that Chiefs will be blown out every time they play a fairly good team. It's entertaining but annoying.
I mean,
look, is that a question?
No, that's a take, and I appreciate the take. Yeah. What I'll say about Kevin, because I disagree with a lot of his takes, but that's the thing about Kevin, and what makes that show so unique is that he's brought in to be not only a moderator, but he's a creator. He comes up with really good ideas. He's funny as shit, and he's very witty, on the fly stuff. Very, very good at what he does. But yeah, his strong suit is not his opinions, and that is where Nick Wright and Chris Broussard come in, because they're the opinionists.
Yeah,
they're the ones that are brought in to have the takes. Yes, they have the takes. Because if we're gonna sit here and collect receipts, I mean, for fuck's sake, man, Wildes was saying just a couple weeks ago that if the Eagles beat the Chiefs, that we have to seriously consider Jalen Hurts the best quarterback in the league. That is just an atrocious take. That's atrocious. He also, I think he picked the Dolphins to go to the Super Bowl last year. Like, it was the Dolphins and Cardinals. I think a lot of the stuff he does is satirical. I think he likes to be the guy that gets laughed at. And so he kind of plays a role. But Kevin Wildes, I think, is a genuinely good dude and a genuinely funny guy. But yeah, I don't listen to Kevin for his takes.
Kind of the adorable idiot.
Right. Yeah, exactly. He's like I said, he's like the buddy that knows sports, but like, let's be real, true. Like, we have friends that are like, oh, this guy doesn't like really pay attention. Like, he's not like glued in. He's into other things. Like, he's more of like a gamer, more of a streamer guy. But he watches sports. Like,
he'll get enough things right to like be relevant.
Yes, like he gets a respectable. Like, people will stop and listen to what he says.
Yeah.
But it's mostly because he's an entertaining, enthusiastic, charismatic guy. It's not because he's got some groundbreaking take or a controversial take that like gets a conversation started. It's more of just like, oh, well, Kevin, we love you. You know what I mean? Like one of those. You know what I mean? Oh, Kevin. You know, it's so I agree. He can be annoying at times, but I think we need to kind of contextualize the approach of when you listen to him to understand what you're getting.
Yeah, this isn't a Jason McIntyre situation. This is just, This is
come on, Colin. Come on, Colin, the Chiefs suck. I'm a muskrat. Yeah, no shit, dude.
Oh.
That's it for the questions, bro.
Great questions, guys. Great takes. The chat's been live. I'm sorry if I haven't given you guys enough love today. You guys have been on freaking fire today, dude. I love what I'm reading and stuff. You guys have been all awesome. I love the fact that you guys have like your own separate conversations too. That makes me so. I feel like a proud. That sounds funny. I feel like a proud parent. You know, like you're just like, oh man, look at them. Everybody's just like having fun talking to each other. That's why we do this, man. So thank you guys. Chat's awesome. Chat's on fire. You guys are always great every single week. Shout out to Ruben, Julia, all the regulars. TJ, thank you for jumping in, bro. Our guy Johnny Harrison, obviously. Man, it goes down the list, dude. There's so many of you guys have been awesome today. Noah John Marshall cooking today. James T. Kirk, obviously one of the OGs on the show. Demetrio, man, thank you for being here as well. I want to give you as many shout-outs as I possibly can. I've seen so many people in the chats today. Thank you guys so much. If I forgot anybody or I didn't see anybody, you know I care about you guys, and we appreciate all you guys. Ruben DeCruz obviously was one of the first in here. Didn't see some of the other regulars, but it's all right. We'll forgive him. We'll bring him back next week. Trevor, we have one more order of business to get to. What is it called? Hold this L. Each and every episode, we finish off every single episode with a series of L's in the world of sports. Whether those L's are friendly L's or not so friendly L's in the world of sports, we promise you, who's ever holding the L's in the world of sports deserve those L's in the world of sports. Trevor Tudwell, who's holding the L for you this week?
Man, listen, I hinted at it a little bit earlier in the show, but the tush push has got to go, man. And this is not me just bitching because the play works, but it's basically an illegal play, and the officials don't know how to officiate it. This is less of an L to the Eagles because they're not doing anything wrong. The Eagles are just doing something they continue to get away with. Yeah. I would too.
Yeah.
But the league and the owners came, and head coaches and whoever else had a say so on the matter, came to the NFL, came to the league, came to Goodell at the end of last season and brought forth this issue. And they decided to not go. They decided to allow it to continue. And it's been nothing but a nuisance this whole season. Such a nuisance that teams are trying to, it's a copycat league. Teams are out here on a weekly basis now trying to emulate that same play. And they continue to get called for false starts every time that they do it. But the Eagles do the exact same formation. And they're not getting calls for it. So there's a strange dynamic going on where the Eagles are kind of like the only team that can actually do the play. And they're still doing it incorrectly. It's still an illegal formation. Guys are still lining up over the ball. Like the snapper is over, like his chest is like on top of the football when he's snapping it. And guys are all diving forward before the ball is even snapped backwards. It's a completely illegal play at this point. And listen, it's not about it being unstoppable because it's been stopped before, but the likelihood of it being stopped is very slim to none. And my L is more towards the league on this matter because I feel like it should have been taken care of last offseason. And I get it that the Eagles benefit from it. And like I said, I would be exposing a loophole if I had it too. But they've been benefiting from it too much. They've been able to, outside of that Rams game, I'll give them credit. They came back in the Rams. Jalen Hurts was awesome that second half, that fourth quarter specifically. He threw the ball a good amount of times, and A.J. Brown got going, and that's just tough to stop when those guys get rolling sometimes. I get it. The Rams blew that game nonetheless, but they've been benefiting from this play, man, several times. The game against us, they just basically did it several times and just iced the game. It's really, really annoying. And this is honestly, even Drew Brees is coming out against it. Drew Brees, one of the most neutral voices and, a guy that doesn't really criticize much people very often, not a hot take guy by any means. He's like, I can't stand the Eagles offense. It's because it's boring, bro. It doesn't, and the play is illegal. The formation is illegal. Like it's too many people on the line. It's an eyesore in the game right now. And on top of it, the officials don't even know how to officiate it, because when other teams are trying to do it, they're calling false starts. I've yet to see one single false start on the Eagles yet, though.
Right.
Yeah. How does it make sense to me? Like it doesn't make any sense. And then there's been fumbles in there in the scrum. Like in our game, we basically took the ball away from him before the guy was actually on the ground. We took the ball from Jalen Hurts. We came up with the ball, but the refs didn't really know how to officiate it. So it's still Eagles ball. Like, what do we do? It's a problem right now. And it sucks because they're not going to take it away mid-year. So we're going to have to deal with it this season. I'm hoping next season the rest of these owners can pull their heads out of their ass and actually come out against it, because it's just a dumb play, man. It really, really is. And they've been benefiting from it too much. And the league should have taken care of it. Now the league is having to pay for it. Now they're having to hear Blandino and all the biggest officiating, names out there that call. Even commentators during the games are like, okay, this play is really getting outrageous.
Yep.
And then the commentators that are commentating the other games of other teams trying to do the play, and they're getting penalized for false starts when it's the exact same formation. It's like the commentators like, okay, like, well, even Tom Brady coming out against it. You know what I mean? So like, how many big name voices are going to have to come out against it for like Goodell's like, fuck, okay. Because it's true, man. This play is dumb. It's just a dumb play. And it is what it is. But this comes down on the head of the league and Goodell, in my opinion. They should have taken care of this last offseason. So for that, Goodell, NFL, do me a solid favor and
hold this L. Someone else is going to have to hold an L was the one that gave the Chiefs their first W, and that is Russell Wilson. I've told you guys for years now that this dude is cooked. There's a reason why the Seahawks were so adamant in getting rid of him when he was coming off amazing seasons before that.
Yeah.
But once he had that hand injury and you start to see him slow down, he was no longer as mobile as he once was, and all he was really relying on at that point was the moon ball, which he can still, even to this day, he can still throw pretty well. He showed how limited of a player he actually is, and I remember when the Broncos traded away their entire, future for him and gave him, was it $270 million, whatever it was. I laughed vigorously because I'm like, did you guys not see the same guy I saw just last year with the Seahawks and how they were willing to just, teams don't give away franchise quarterbacks. That doesn't happen. So clearly something was wrong that the Broncos were ignoring. And you saw it immediately. He was no longer a good quarterback and hasn't been ever since. It's been, almost 4 years? And so seeing the Giants, I understand why they did what they did initially, where they needed a veteran quarterback while Jackson Dart's starting off, but they also signed Jameis Winston. And Jameis Winston, to me, is a better quarterback at this point than Russell Wilson. And seeing him throw the ball 3 times to the back of the end zone against the Chiefs, I could not stop laughing. Remember how funny that shit was, dude? And then that interception at the end of the half to Jalen Watson in the back of the end zone when he was all over Malik Neighbors. Like, there was no chance that ball was getting to Malik Neighbors.
Right.
It showed that Russell Wilson is done. He's no longer. I genuinely believe he should go to the USFL or the league that the UFL, whatever it is now, the XFL and the USFL joined. I really do believe that. Because I think he would actually be pretty damn good against those guys. He would look really good against those guys. Because a lot of those guys are like mailmen and, guys that make boxes for a living. Like, he could probably clap those guys. If he wants to look good again, do that. But see, my L is ultimately because this is the quote from Russell Wilson this week in regards to his career and where he sees himself and everything. He goes, quote, "I'm not done. But I went ahead and decided to change it for Russ." This is the actual quote he should have said. "I'm done." Because that's the truth. His mouth may not say it, but his body does. So for that, Russell Wilson and his lying mouth do me a solid and hold this up. Tell CRS and I.
Limited.
Great show, guys. Awesome time. Hope we didn't take too much of your time. If so, we don't feel bad because you know what? We had fun. And that is what we try to do every single Saturday. Shout out to the great Harold KUNTZ for joining us today. We're going to try to get more guests in for you guys. We promise you that. But I'll be honest with you guys. When it's just us, it's still fun as hell, man, because we get a lot of opinions and viewpoints from you guys. You guys get it from us, and that's the way we like to keep it, man. So no matter what we do or who we have on the show, we want to keep this bad boy as fun and as jovial as possible, and we appreciate every single one of you guys that contribute to this bad boy every single week. And we hope to tell your friends about us and make sure that you guys go to our YouTube channel. It's at the top, so at the bottom of every single show. The Spoken Podcast. Hit subscribe, notify, share, all the fun buttons. But get in the comments, man. We want to hear from you guys. We very much value your opinions and where you guys see things going in the world of sports and in the Chiefs in particular. So until we do this again, for Trevor Twidwell, for the great Clay Wendler that puts all this together on the back end of things at Red Tribe Cinema, I am Lance Twidwell. Episode 329 of the Spoken Podcast is done, finished, and finito. And until we are back here in 1 week's time for episode 330, hopefully talking about a Chiefs team that will be 2-2, we out of this bitch.
Later.